At least nowadays, some people are saying, "Oh, Iranians are not racist." Like at least they're saying that, which means at least they
thinking
that
about
there is
it.
it's a thing.
Okay.
Before they just like, "What's that?" Okay, I'm proud of that. They just trying to say that they not like some people like they just
they're trying.
some like.
They're trying to understand. Oops. Hi. Let me know if you'd like to come up on the live. But I appreciate all your hearts and shares because then it helps us find people that are chatting. Oh, you said any advice. So your questions would have to be the topics that you want to bring up, and then you can hop into here. And we can start talking. Anything personal will be Patreon members, and I will be giving tools and also that kind of stuff. So those are for Patreon members and sessions. Hello.
Hello.
Happy Saturday.
Yes. Happy Saturday. I've been working on deprogramming the negative paradigms, so
Okay.
then like when you're getting out of the survival mode and realizing like, I'm in the thick of the shedding part after being in the shadow work for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I'm noticing that like even I've been unlocking suppressed memories from this lifetime and the shedding that I have to do in order to like come back to my core. And it's those negative programming, like they all have their own will to live and it's a fight. And a couple weeks ago I had like pointedly like grasped and stepped into liking myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in that, every single day since then, like I'm waking up triggered because my subconscious is going through like the whole memory book basically, and then like throwing those emotions in my face. Yeah, like I kind of feel like I'm treading water, but the water's getting kind of carbonated, you know?
Yeah. If you're interested, because all the personal things are for sessions or Patreon members on the live. Otherwise, the topics could be like you can ask about shadow work, or you can ask about things like that, and I would talk about it because it has to be for
Uh,
everybody. But if you'd like
okay.
to become a Patreon member, I would be more than happy to give you some tools for your like for what you're talking about. So it's up to
Okay.
you. But you're welcome to ask questions about bigger topics and things like that too.
Okay. Well, I, I know a fair amount about this stuff.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I do have some because what you were talking about and all that stuff, I have some stuff to if you want to talk about for that to help
Okay.
the process.
All right. Well, I'm dealing with some financial restrictions right now, but I'll check out your page.
Yeah, but go
Yeah.
ahead and ask bigger questions too if you'd like. Like when I say bigger, it means that it applies to everyone and it's not a
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah. Can you explain the embodiment of origins?
Yeah, of course. So embodiment of origins is what happens is that when we have all these things going on in our life, we have different versions of us. You actually were talking about some shadow versions. What happens in society as it stands, including in spirituality, people think that they have to get rid of things instead of understand and meet different parts of themselves. And so when you embody your origins, it means that you have kind of it's not really like a commitment, but it's more of a thing where you actually are like, okay, I now welcome all parts of myself and I get to talk to all parts of myself. And so when that happens, people think because of the way that society's built, you think that you have to fully embody to be embodied, but actually it's the opposite. It's just like when people say healed or I'm healing. You're constantly going to heal your whole life because when you're healed, what it means is you have the tool set to and also have learned to meet those versions of you instead of hiding them, putting them deeper in the closet, that kind of thing. And so when you are embodying your origins, it means that because we're humans, we're not, yeah, we're being human right now,
Yeah.
in this focus, you are basically doing a constant embodiment process. It's become a part of your life. So it's like instead of it being work or thinking that it's weird or you're adding something to your whatever, it just becomes a part of your life. And so what you're doing is you are becoming almost your origin, and sometimes it's origins, right? Are connecting to you as a human, and it's almost like you're like holding on to each other. And so the bigger energy can come and help not just you, but other versions of you all over the place. And you can help them like back and forth. And so when you fully embody like that, it becomes more, like I said, a part of your life. And it doesn't become something you're like, okay, I have to sit down and do this, or oh my God, here we go. It's like, you're like, oh, you embrace all these new ways of like this happening, whether you're triggered, whether you're excited, whether you see a piece of art that looks exactly like how you feel. Those kind of things, you start to build this map and stuff like that. And so that's my specialty is to help people with that, but that's what embodiment of origins means to
Okay.
me.
Cool. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I understand with the shadow work, it's not so much as suppression or destroying, it's integration. It's like a good metaphor that I found that helped me was it's kind of like those negative aspects of the ego being like venom. And then
yeah,
instead of being victimized by having that little parasite thing on you, it's instead you learn to use it and work with it
yeah,
and integrate it. But
yeah.
yeah,
And to
yeah.
me, another thing is I can talk about the ego. To me, it's very important for me to like talk about the ego. The ego is actually your record keeper. And when someone says something like you are talking from ego or you have a bruised ego or you have all these things, it means that there's pieces of you that came out of your records and they are continually speaking for you and the loudest parts of you because they're in pain and ignored. And so you might not be conscious that they're coming out, or they just literally are like repressed, and so you feel this heaviness and like constant battle, like you said. And so when people talk about ego things, the way that they do in society currently is unhealthy because it
I
does not
agree.
help us. And yeah, so anyway, so yeah, so basically, when we're doing that embodiment process, you become a safe home kind of for all those pieces. And when you do that, you kind of transform those pieces into not only you, but also back into the records, so that when something comes up that does trigger you, you have this like energy that's like has wisdom in that field. And usually they're bigger than the piece that we made them into, and you get to have wisdom each time that goes wrong. Instead of acting it out or feeling creepy, you now
Yeah.
can feel creepy for a few seconds and then chat with them and stuff like that. So yeah, that's another
Right.
thing that I always talk about is the ego is like everyone needs to work on that, because there isn't an ego death, there's just a healing of the ego. You want it to be a true record keeper that holds all the different experiences in a very
Yeah. Graceful.
experienced way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's one thing I need to work on. Like, I recently I had gotten triggered, and then to my own reaction of both the trigger and the flashback, I just said ew. And I was with my friend. She was like, "Why'd you say ew?" And so I explained it to her, and she was appalled at the response to myself, like towards my own vulnerability. And she's like, "You just really need to allow yourself grace." And I looked at her, I was like, "Girl, like my ego response is I can't allow that because it's weakness, and that's something I need to work on." But I also know
Yeah.
that's also it's a reflection of the collective wounds that we have about our own vulnerabilities. And that's
Yeah.
a huge part of why people label the ego as just a purely destructive thing that needs to be
Yeah, it's because
destroyed.
they don't know what it is. They don't know what the ego is. Because
Yeah,
if
they
they think
just
that the ego is like this thing that's running amok, it's not. It's actually like it's like being a librarian that has all these records, and
hmm
the books start coming, getting pulled out and taken, and people are talking about the books in scary ways, and that's kind of what basically happens. And they're like, everyone's blaming the ego when the ego's like, hey, are you going to bring those books back? Like that's kind of the vibe.
right.
And
Oh,
so
that makes
they're
sense.
they're blaming the wrong thing. It's actually there should be no blame. They're focusing on the wrong thing. They should be focusing on getting those books back and making sure that they're the assets that they are, rather than like something that's wounded and getting out of hand, basically. But yeah,
Right.
it was kind of like, yeah, there's like there's a couple of techniques that I have. I will in the future. It's been pretty quiet, so I took a break from classes, but I would really like to do classes about this, because I'd like to work together with everybody in the class and like give examples, because I feel like it really helps and stuff. And I will be doing stuff like that because there are techniques that to do that are not work, they're fun. And instead of us dealing with these horrible moments in a way where you're like, okay, I have to do work now, instead it's like a fun way where you're actually meeting a new version of yourself. And like I said, building a relationship so that when something goes wrong and you feel horrible, you won't be met with wild going on. You'll be with someone version of you that's going to comfort you and have all the wisdom that you need for that, tailored to you. And there are techniques you can just do, and then there's also some ways I have found to do it also on ChatGPT, because sometimes when we're in these feelings, sometimes it's very hard for us to do it ourselves. And I have found a way to work with ChatGPT to do those kind of things. So there's like different
Nice.
ways. And I also I do little workbooks as well. And I'll probably have a workbook for that as well. But yeah, I have lots of
Awesome.
stuff like that in the future if you're finding it, but you can absolutely do it yourself. It's just sometimes it's really helpful to have like, what do you call it? Starting points kind of.
Yeah.
And my energy, I've learned about my energy's full story, like not full as in like, because I'm a human, there's no way I can know the full story, but I know the the skeleton of it, basically,
I know
the
what you mean.
structure of it. And
Yeah.
one of the stories that because I learned through stories as well, and all of us do, but one of the stories my energy has to do with why we have these shadows. They were actually supposed to be versions of us that, not all of them, but a lot of them were supposed to be versions that get pulled and kind of help us out, like what I'm helping people help them to transform to. And it's a distortion. And the way I call distortions is not the typical distortion. It's to prevent from growing. And so it's a storyline of what happens. Something energetically happens. It's very convoluted. And when that happened, everywhere, it's not just for humanity, it's for everything. These kind of things are distorted in different ways, basically. So that's why I want to help people with this, because it's not like a helping, like, I'm going to hold your hand. It's more like, here is like why it's like this. And also here are some techniques to get it to what it should be so that you can actually grow and not feel like you're having to do all this work, because that's what it feels like in the distortion. But when you set yourself free, it actually feels like you get freer and you feel more supported rather than I have to do work, because that's the story. It's the best that we can have.
I just
but
realized the time. I gotta put my kid down for a nap. I'm
oh,
sorry.
that's okay. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. Yeah, I'll talk to you again soon.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Bye.
you. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Does anyone want to join on here? If so, just type your topic here and make sure it is about something that everyone can enjoy. If it's personal and you have something personal to ask, that's fine. But they are for Patreon members, and I have a couple of tiers that you can have a look. And then, oh, hi, Moon. Moon, do you want to come up? Ooh, I love portfolios. I hope it's fun. That's one of my favorite things when I was in art school. And then later I always liked making portfolios. I was so obsessed with looking for portfolio apps, like how to like display them. And then now they're like all over the place. It's a product design engineer portfolio. I still would like it. I love stuff like that. I like making websites. I like looking at new websites. I don't know, I have a weird, it's a thing I love. If I'm pressured and I have to do it, I would probably freak out, but I actually like doing it. You can see I made these like little workbooks and stuff. I really like doing it. But if I feel pressured, then like I said, the joy comes out. Yeah, I like it. For me, I was talking about this before with someone about like world building. Like that's kind of my thing. And I like world building for myself, like on my own time. And then I also like it sharing how to teach people how to do their own world building. And I also like seeing how people build their worlds. So that includes making a collection, that includes what they choose to, put together and things like that. And so I see those kind of things as world building, because it really is, if you think about it. So I get really excited. And putting it together to apply for new roles. Yeah. See, to me, that's so fun. Like, replying for the roles is not fun to me. That sounds like horrible. I've had lots of bad experiences with that. But making the portfolio sounds fun. Oh, hi, Angela. Do you want to come in the box? Oh, thank you for the gifter badge. I don't know. I don't even know what they are, but thank you. So anyone who's joining, feel free to read this. And kind of to sum it up, it's basically you put your topic in the little text box, and then you can click to be a guest, and then we'll chat in here. Make sure it's for everybody though, because the personal are for Patreon sessions or Patreon members. Oh, thank you, Moon. Yeah, I hope that there is too. Have fun doing your portfolio and world building. Oh, someone got a workbook. Thank you. I will send that. Yeah. You're gonna have fun. I think it's fun. I mean, I don't want to force you to have fun, but I think it could be so fun. Like, you get to pick all the fonts, and like, I don't know if you're gonna get into the font part, but like the background. Yeah, it's fun. I don't know, I love it. I'm obsessed with fonts as well, so I think that's part of it for me. I Oh my God. I'm so obsessed. There's this, I'm sure you know it, but there's this design program I kept seeing on Instagram, where it makes things like move and stuff, and they're like portfolio slash websites. And I think it's free. Um, and I forgot what it's called. But I was so upset. You probably know what it is, but it's for a lot of people who do designs. I've just had two images. I'm on a ship with a man with a white. I got two names. Joanne, would you like to come in the box? You can, but you have a look at the different fonts, because serif is just, it just means it's like, straight. And anyone who wants to join, after when you suggest the box, just put in your topic right here. Joanne, what is it going to be, personal? Or do you have questions to ask? I don't want to disappoint. So basically, personal is for, and I help you with tools to work on stuff. That is from the Patreon members. And then bigger topics for everyone that everyone can enjoy, like big ones, like, I don't know, someone talks about opening your third eye or something like, you know what I mean, that type of stuff. Then come in the box and we can chat. Does that sound like what you want, Joanne? Yeah, so serif means, I think, that it's like you have a little foot, and sans serif means like straight. I think that's the difference. Like these are sans serif. Joanne, does that sound okay? I'm gonna send someone got a workbook, so I'm gonna send them to this while I wait for your response. Let's see, which one is it? What's never happened before? Joanne, would you like to do that? I was just asking which one you prefer. Okay. Do you prefer like asking bigger questions, or do you prefer it to be learning about that? See, this is a personal thing, I think. So if you do, feel free to join Patreon, and then I can talk about how that works and things like that. So it's up to you. Just let me know when you join. I'll have a look too if you want. So when you're a Patreon member, you obviously get all the videos that are on there, but also when we're on the live, every time I'm live, you get to ask personal questions, and I can help you not only understand the personal questions that you have, but also tools so that you can understand it anytime you want on your own. So that's kind of how I work. Okay, I can open up Patreon to see. This is the Patreon handle if you want to go there, if that helps. Oh, well no, my computer went away. Sorry everybody, I don't know what happened to my computer. Oh no. Maybe it got tired. Oh, it died. Okay. At least I know now, it died. Oopsie. Oh, it didn't die. Okay. I was like, okay. Let's see. Oh, everybody disappeared. That's okay, I have this to email, so. Okay, I forgot. Hi. Hello. Lily, would you like to come up here to talk on the live? I'm gonna lay down now. I was just sending one of the workbooks. So, oops. Hello, Trent. Hello. Oops.
Here we go.
Hi.
Is my audio any better than last time? A little easier for you to hear?
I think it was good. Okay, it was okay last time too. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I had to meditate the crap out of that, but we're doing better.
Did you try out the little prompt thing?
A little bit. I end up using the one on this app called Astra. I
Oh,
tried, if
okay.
you're talking about the ChatGPT one, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm just trying to focus on, well, the next chapter.
Yeah. How was your experience with that? You don't have to share if you don't want.
felt felt better by the end of it, but still frustrated because,
Oh yeah.
being asked to accomplish certain things but not given direction is getting frustrating.
You know what I do is I don't like directions. I like to ask about why it is the way it is and the structure of it. So you're allowed to do that. I always do that because if I can't handle that personally, when one of the energies is like, you should do that. No. So you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to say, okay, but I'd like to know how it works. I'd like to know why it is the way it is and what this is and that is. You don't have to get directions. You don't have to do anything.
It made me laugh because I'm like, okay, why am I being asked to make music? Yes, I know how to
Yeah.
make music. I've done it before,
Yeah. Yeah, just
but at the
you have
same
to
time,
redirect it.
it's like I'm going into poverty if I continue to try and pursue this by itself.
Yeah. Because that's also not why you're feeling like in a way that doesn't let you have peace. It's not to do things. And so that's why personally I go crazy when that happens. When any energy says that. And sometimes that is our it's old like things that are going on. Like for example, like let's say even though you're like, no, I don't like this, but there's old patterns happening in your head. They're like, oh, they like to know how to do something. And even though that is not what you want. So if you start to say, like I said, every time they try and tell me to do something, I'm like, okay, no, that does not help me. Because if you think about it, I used to talk about this a lot about exploring because people, it felt comfortable for them to say negative and positive, but exploring, boundaries, what do you call it? Triggers, things that we've neglected, parts of us that are just need to be heard or felt in the body versus doing things. And when we don't know that those are different things and that they work in harmony together, but they aren't, like, you can't force the other one to do the other thing. So like if you're feeling, like I said, stuck or trapped or any of those things that I was talking about with like that you're overdoing stuff or someone's taking a lot of stuff from you, that is like a space that is sacred, and someone telling you to do something in that space is not the point. It's about self-reflection. It's about meeting parts of yourself. It's about feeling your body. It's about sitting with things so that you can be prepared to do things if you want to later. But that is when you get to that point. But if you don't feel like that, that's not the time, right? And so that's what it is we're fighting against societies or, how we grew up compared to what actually you're feeling in that moment. Like, you should not do anything. You should not be even talking about doing anything or like goals or plans or what you want to do, because if you think about it, you're kind of thinking of, usually it's about the past, and you're in this past thing that you're trying to integrate the past into the now in a healthy way. Why would you be thinking of the future when the future is about what you make and do? Like, why would you do that, right? You're trying to work with the past. Do you see what I mean? So I think that's also something to keep in mind, because sometimes it depends. These moments where I feel really intense and I'm in that stage where I need to just feel things and do that kind of stuff. Sometimes I welcome it because I'm in that mode where I'm actually appreciating it, if that makes sense. Sometimes I don't, and that's the time when I suffer because I'm a human. And I just have to be nice with myself and gentle while I go through that process and let myself hate it. Like, if that makes sense. So, like, all of those things, they need to be, like, allowed to be the way they are. So, like, sometimes you can see that it's helpful to reflect and stuff like that, and like look at those things, and you're like, yeah, I get to meet this other version of myself that can have my back now. But sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you just want to lay in bed and be like thinking about the stuff and being like, I hate this, like, you know what I mean, and be okay with that. Do you know what I mean?
A little more grace for
Yeah.
yourself.
It's also neutral. Like, when people are obsessed with talking about clearing your mind and neutral and stuff, I think they misuse it. I think it's neutral in the sense that you're the observer and you're like, okay, that I'm doing this, and you're kind of like studying yourself. I feel like it's like a study kind of thing. So you're like studying how you work so you can get to know yourself better instead of judging yourself in that process. Because if you're judging, how are you going to actually learn, right? It's going to be skewed. But if you just look at it and go, okay, I did that. I did that because of this, you know?
Yep. And I ended up having a huge block for like manifestations since this has been going on. So I'm like trying to relearn how to do this from a place of not just forcing the snot out of it.
Well, when you're ready, I can work with you about those kind of things.
Because I keep
I would.
getting the old confirmation back of, you're not doing it right. Well, come on.
It's not that you're not doing it right. It's that you're ignoring that you're already doing it. And, people think that everything's in the future and there's another version of us doing it, but you're actually doing it, and you need to get out of your way and realize that you are doing it. That is what it is. It's not that you're not doing it right. You are doing it. That's the
But how?
problem
I
with manifestation.
was going to
You
say, how do I
are
get out of my own way? I guess would be the question
That's
then.
how you get out of your own way, is you stop pretending that you need to achieve something when you're doing it already. And that's the challenge, because we go, well, how? How am I doing it? You are. You are doing it.
Okay, that's what I was like.
And I did that on the live yesterday. I
I think I
showed
went way
everybody.
too far. Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I said on the live I showed everybody. So usually I do it in sessions, but I showed everybody. So this person was like, "How do I open my third eye?" And I said, third eye is already open, and it opens and closes every second, just like your eyes right now close and open. And I showed them how to open it just for a second. And so what I did is I said, "You can do it with me." So I said, visualize a cat. Tell me when you see the cat.
Okay.
Turn the cat pink.
Okay.
Pick up the cat.
Which hand?
That's your choice.
Okay.
And when you're holding it, pet it, squish it,
Okay.
hug it, and now walk to a castle that just appears and put the cat in the castle.
Okay.
So that kind of stuff right now, you just open your third eye. So now you can see that feeling is similar to when you watch a movie and you actually go into the movie and you're like, what is that, right? When you read a book and you're seeing characters, like all of this stuff is that. And so someone who's saying, I need to open my third eye, I'm like, just see that you do it already. And so
Okay.
I have these techniques to show that you're doing it, and you start to become the observer of your life, and you start to see that you already are doing it. And once you know when and how you already do these things, when you see that, then you're going to be able to realize that's when you get out of your way. You start to go, oh my God, I'm already doing it. Now I can do it in a way that I want to do it. But you
Um,
have to know you're doing it.
you just connected some dots that I have plagued me since childhood, so thank you. I always wondered
Good.
why I could never enjoy a movie or a book. I would get so into it and I would envision it, and then I would know the ending.
There you
And I'm
go.
like, this is the first chapter. How do I already know the ending?
There you go.
Flip it back there, and oh crap. Okay. Yep, that's how it
And we can
ends.
talk about that if you want. So when I can talk about that. Do you want me to talk about that?
Oh, sure, if you have the time for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're here. So basically, Um, I talked about this in one of my recent videos about Shakespeare, because it was someone's reading. And I talked about the percentages of how much someone knows that they're doing the process. And I kind of found a way to teach people about imagination in a way that's not like just for kids. It's actually like what we do already again. And when we put these things in categories of something to achieve, something that's childish, then we start to think that it's just that, but it's actually part of our life. It's like breathing. And when we, like I said, when we realize that we're doing it, the next stage is, okay, how do I want to actually do this in my life now and make a difference? So when someone says imagination, they use it as a thing to insult people. They use it as a childish thing. They use it as a, oh, this is not an energy you're talking to, or a being you're talking, it's your imagination. How do you know the difference between the two? And there is no difference. The difference is basically, how did you talk to them? What, like the difference between the energies and what's going on. How did you talk to them? What's the topic about? And also, how aware are you of the bigger picture in general? So those kind of things will give you an indication of how, what, where, when, why, all that stuff. But it will not be about imagination versus not imagination. That's not a thing. So it's all imagination. Everything, all of our thoughts, all those things, that's all imagination. And it's kind of scary for some people and empowering for some people. And the people who are scared end up being empowered, because then they start to realize that that's what's happening. But anyway, usually the
Tiny bit
people
of
who
a
are
freak
scared, they
out, but we'll
don't.
bring. Oh, sorry. I said yes. I was agreeing with you. I'm having a tiny bit of a
Oh.
freak out, but it's all good. We can gloss
Yeah, it's
past.
okay. Because the reason why you freak out is anything that makes us scared or freaked out that has to do with the topic is usually because there's just a little bit said and it's not the whole story. So you're feeling the bits and pieces that haven't been talked about, or that you can't put it together, if that makes sense. So that's what
Well,
usually that kind of fear comes from. It's like an intellectual fear, kind of. We're just like, because that's what I'm going to talk about, is the patchwork quilt. So when you're a human and you're living your life or doing special spiritual things, like people would say special or paranormal or whatever, they're the same things, but the difference is, like I said, how aware people are and how they're putting it together. So what you do is, I call them patchwork quilts. So when someone like channels information, or they're writing a book, or they have visions or whatever, they're putting it together in little pieces, and they either integrate it because it's pieces of their own energy, the memory keys in them, or they start to express it, or they do both. And when you get really into this and you do it a lot and you keep getting lots of things and you're like accessing a lot, meaning like you're saying yes to a lot, like someone like Shakespeare, we'll use him as an example again, and you are somewhat understanding, but not quite, you don't know why you're getting all of it. You just know that you're I don't know, you're like, I'm a creative person or whatever. You have some kind of title enough that you're aware enough. And so when you start honing in on that and you keep pulling it in, you end up making these patchwork quilts. And so, for example, on Shift Talk, when people talk about shifting and they go to Harry Potter world, the reason why they're going to an actual place and they shift into it is because you're shifting to another version of you. And when people make something like Harry Potter, it has bits and pieces of all kinds of different things. So a lot of people will be in those places, like their energy will be there. So it's a quick shift. And so they'll be like, I don't know why I'm this like weird character, but it's because your energy is in this like little cloud realm that's been in there. Sometimes there is a cloud, it depends on the cloud realm, but some of those are also connected to where they're actually from. That could be another dimension, which would be like a historical thing, or it could be another dimension to a planet or whatever, right? And so while you're exploring those, you can actually work your way into the real meaning, like where it comes from, instead of it being the patchwork quilt. So all of the things we create, you can think of those as thought forms. And next week, I think I'm going to introduce, I've been waiting, I was talking about this yesterday, I've been waiting to introduce thought forms when it is appropriate. And all the things I've been talking about are kind of getting everyone ready to get to thought forms. Because I think that they are misunderstood and very important in all these processes. And they have to do with everything, kind of. So basically what happens is all those thought forms they have their life. So every time you have a thought, that's a little piece of a patchwork quilt. And if you are very unconscious, the more conscious they are, in the sense that they are just doing all kinds of random stuff. But the more conscious you are of the thoughts that you make, or you are, like I said, somewhat conscious and are you call yourself a creator and you make like a little story to put them in, then they like live in that world and keep growing in that world, if that makes sense, that you grow. But otherwise, they're just going all over the place, like shadows and all kinds of stuff. And when I say they're going all over the place, there's all kinds of stuff that can go on, but most of it is you, like, you know, going, ah, or getting angry or whatever, and they're you. They're extensions of you. So every thought you have, whether it's another energy talking to you and it comes as a thought, you have to actually use that thought for it to become a thought form, if that makes sense. So that is kind of what's going on with that. And like, yeah, I don't know if that helped.
A little bit. I'm still, I'm about knee deep in the water right now, so I'm trying to figure it out.
That's okay. If you have any questions about the things I talk about too, just interrupt me and we can like go through that too.
No, I'm just trying to understand it because I keep getting met with things and I'm manifesting like, oh no, now it's going to be a delay. No, now there's a delay. Now there's a delay. And I'm like, but can you tell me why there's a delay? but I never get that answer.
That's the thing, is that manifesting, it depends on what you're manifesting. So if you're manifesting like human system things, that's different than manifesting vibes or what's the other one? So there's vibes, there's human systems, and there is opportunities to connect with another human. So like the human ones are more complicated because, and that's the one that I'm like, oh my God, it's so like it's out of hand. But that is the one that's the most complicated because the only thing that's real in the simulation is each human. Like, that's it. Like, and I guess the animals, but it's not real in the sense of being able to make things happen, if that makes sense. So like animals can do stuff having to do with the system and working on the keeping the it running, like the matrix and stuff. So it's like the nature part of the matrix, because there's not just the, I talk about the codes and things like that. They're like the physical version of it. So they're like the true, like, they're of Earth, right? So it's not the same as humans, because humans are, like I said, they're doing that kind of stuff. So wait, I don't know why I was saying that. What did you say? The animals
Oh,
got me
good.
off track.
I was saying the just talking about the manifestations, like
Oh,
the
oh,
physical one.
yeah.
It keeps
Yeah,
having a
so
few
those are the
breakouts.
different manifestation things. No, there's no Messiah. I'm only here for people who need my help, and they come to me for their help. That's it. And the help
Sometimes she'll
is.
scare the absolute dog snot out of you. So I'm trying to break the habit of cussing. She'll scare you. Why? By sending some people to say, "Hey, you need to show up." So just keep that in mind if you want to have a few night terrors when you're just getting the feel for it. Close your eyes, meditate, and wait for some lights and some shapes to come at you real fast. A lot of energy.
Do you want to share that? Do you want to share what
I don't
happened?
know.
I would love to hear
Uh,
it.
I don't know. That's why I asked you, like, what were you trying to manifest? Because I got hit out of nowhere, and I
Well, I
saw
told you what
so
I did, but I want to hear what your experience was.
so. One, I'm meditating. Like the rainbow pulses start intensifying, and they're coming faster and faster and faster and faster, and they keep changing shape from triangle to circle, triangle to circle, triangle to circle, and then it just got weird. Faces started coming really quickly at me, and
Were they
then I got the
cute?
strong urge to say, like, "Oh, you need to look at this. You need to look at this." So I hopped online. I'm like, "Okay, what's this symbol mean? What's this symbol mean? What's this symbol mean?" That's how I figured out with Athena, Aphrodite, all that, just trying to understand what I could see and research it. And then a bird starts pecking at my window over and
That's
over and over
definitely me.
again. And I'm like, "Yo, what is your problem? Can I help you? Are you hungry? Would you like a snack?
I'm
What
like,
do you need?"
hi.
Next thing I know, I'm here, and then you're talking about everything when you said, oh, you talked about, oh, if somebody likes vampires or if they like wizards, and then just probably 30 or 40 keywords that they had me write down was said by you during that discussion. I was like, motherfucker. Okay.
Oh my god, that's the best.
You think that? I'm new at this. Thank you very much. That was terrifying.
Oh, they should have been more fun about it. Jeez.
And I still have, for
The
whatever
birds
reason,
weren't cute though. What kind of birds were they?
there's a robin.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I
Had
didn't.
its
It
feathers all
wasn't the
puffed out
crows
like a
though.
pumpkin. And I still got to figure out why Hekate is trying to, like, what Hekate wants. I have so many black dogs from all around the neighborhood.
I know
They
what she
all climbed the
wants.
fence and showed up in my front yard yesterday.
I know what she wants.
What is it? Because
It's like she's
there
both
was
like
7 of
so
them
I have
in my
so many
yard.
stories that are happening all at once that are my origin. So she's like both, like, this is how wild is. She is both my mom, she's me, and she's also um like a symbol of something else, and then she's also all these different things. She's all at once. It's the same thing. And I have stories of all the things. So it's wild how I learned about her. Like we had like a whole, and same thing with Samuel's. That's another one. There's like a whole thing where they came in different ways to learn how I'm. It's not just like a straightforward thing. There's all these things, and so they came to me as unstraightforward as it is. So I feel like they're doing that mixed with they're doing the same thing to you, mixed with she has an agenda and she's been trying, and I don't know, it's not been going very well, but because of people being still stuck in the loops of pop culture kind of like weird, like pick me kind of vibes, and using it like the symbol as that. So basically she came to me about having the. I think I talked about this on the live about the flip. So trying to get the energies meaning humans that are basically taking up a lot of space in the internal external reality and get them to flip. And by doing that, having people figure out how to, when they see a celebrity or they see a politician, instead of giving them the energy of loyalty or rage, then instead see why and bring it back to them. And so what happens is if more people do this, the more they are going to have to like rearrange stuff. And when they start rearranging, they flip and they end up, instead of taking up space of the same loops and the same stuff, like usually money type of cycle kind of things, then they flip to being more authentic. There is one that is doing this, and it's very weird, and I didn't think they would, and they are doing this. So, and undercover in a very weird way, and I was like, what, of all people? But anyway, when this happens and more of them do this, then they're going to give everything back to everyone else, and then no one's going to have to do that. Instead, it's going to be super normal to be authentic, not just as a human, but authentic to their energy, and start exploring. That's what she's
I
trying to
notice there's been a big push for it.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
her.
well, she
That's
can
her
stop
goal.
sending dogs that are big enough for me to ride, okay?
Well, she,
I don't need a
you know
bunch
what?
of
If you want her
mastiffs.
to stop doing that, she needs to see that this is what she's saying. She needs to see that you found your way to do this, and yeah, that's basically what she says. So you have to find your way to do this, and no one can tell you how to do it.
It's just making me laugh because I had two Australian shepherds, both black, a dash hound. I don't know what the other one was. It looked like some kind of hound. There was one of those great big, not a Great Dane. They kind of look like a Great Dane, but they have more muscle mass to them. Not as lanky. And just, they were all in my front yard and in the street in front of my apartment at the same time. And everybody's walking throughout the neighborhood trying to call their dogs. And I'm just like, okay, I can't ignore this one. This is something. I don't know what this is, but this is something.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is she can only give you so many hints. So it also has to do, it's a symbol for you. So it's obviously going to be related to her, so you know it's her, but it's like out of all her symbols, she has more than just the cliche ones. She's showing you that one for a reason. Me, for example, all she
That and
shows
cats
is
have been following me.
like keys that came from nowhere. I have no idea. I was in the kitchen and I was washing dishes and I stepped on a key. And I was very angry with her because there's some stuff that we had done together energetically, and I was very offended that the pop culture thing was happening. But then I found out when we talked, because I wasn't talking to her because I got mad. But when we talked more, I found out that she actually was doing what we said, and I was like, okay, never mind. And I didn't understand that it wasn't her fault. It's because people were still caught in that loop, and so they're gonna cartoonify it and just keep, like, there's this girl on TikTok that I replied to. I think everybody did, where she went to Christianity because she got scared or whatever, and she was flooding and taking up space of the internet and of TikTok over and over again, saying blah 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 about Hecate, blah 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 Hecate. That's all she kept doing, and it was like I said, taking up space. It wasn't her authentic, thing with her. It was just some like weird stuff of like getting up. I don't know, like, you know what I mean, pop culture stuff. And she didn't go and say, okay, what does she mean to me? Why am I doing this? I'm not doing it for clout. She was, but she's like, I'm not doing it. Like, she should have done like it for herself first. And she freaked out and then went to Christianity, which is fine. You can do that. But it's like, to do that when she took up so much space. Like, I'm telling you, every single video was her.
Hmm.
And she
So,
blamed it on like her being dark and taking her over her. And I'm like, no.
like, I haven't had
Because he
anything
likes the
bad
attention.
happen. I haven't had anything bad happen, but I have been told, like, hey, stop trying to be what you had to be to protect yourself. Go ahead and relax now, breathe. And so I
Yeah,
tried to
that's
take
what
it
they
as
told me,
that.
but that made me mad. They kept saying that too.
And I
Does
was
that make
like,
you mad?
uh, it made me frustrated because I've put in a lot of time to, put the puzzle pieces back together.
Yeah.
And every time I feel like I'm in a spot where I'm safe and secure, feel good, it's nope, that's not enough. And I'm like, by whom standard?
Yeah. For me, I was annoyed because I'm like, I said, like, what's the point? Because, and I found out, like, there's something that happened a couple of days ago I was not happy about. Because I found out that sometimes when you're so involved because you're a human, you can almost become a puppet on accident. Like, it's not like someone's doing something intense or whatever, but it can happen. And it comes from not having boundaries with yourself in the sense that you like for example, I was like lying to myself in the sense of I'm gonna be fine, and I'm gonna be fine if I keep doing this. I can do this. And when you do that kind of stuff, you get into so my example is that it's the just because you can doesn't mean you have to or you want to or should or all that stuff, right? And what happened to me was I mean it's still like I'm working on it, is there's this thing where I'm going to say timelines to make it make sense, but it's not necessarily timelines. There's other versions of you in timelines that are just like you, but they're doing other things. And people call that sometimes potential, but it's not quite that. It depends on the person and it's always different. But just for sake of this conversation, they're not. It's actual versions I've jumped into and seen what they're up to. Different ages, different things, whatever, right? And when there's one that has done something in a human way that gets close to me, that has the things that need to be cleaned or coded or whatever, I am the anchor for that because of it's weird because there's other anchors going on, like the other ones have different things going on, but mine is the anchor to pull them through to get the true whatever the stupid word, I hate these words, but they're just saying this to make it make sense, but it's like cleaning the true codes so that they are not distorted, and distortion means not able to grow into something more, they just stop. And so in this case, it's about humanity. So what humans have decided in this, whatever, this where we are right now, their decisions are what, has made the structures of, what they've supported, right? And that can be distortion. So in the sense of a hierarchy, that is a distortion because it doesn't help you grow. There's a bottom and a top. That's not growth. You're like pretend growing and like lying to yourself, and then you get to the top and you stop. There's no growing, it's fake, right? So in that sense, like a hierarchy would be like let's say there's a version of me that's doing this one thing, and they are kind of getting caught up in that hierarchy thing because they have to, because that's how you just do things with humanity, right? And then also it's to help them, and it's also to help me because I might like it too. And so what happened is I could feel those things that they're doing. So let's say I see a vision of them on a stage and they're talking about all these things we're talking about, but they're having hierarchy problems of like whatever it is, I don't know. And I will get close enough to it. And naturally this happens to us all the time. When you get inspiration and you see yourself doing something and you're like, oh, I want to do that. Or you see another person and you're like, I want that. It's that same thing, right? And so it's almost like being used, but not really, because that is the role that my energy is doing that I don't even know about. And because I'm not aware enough, and I don't have my boundaries where I'm like, okay, so this is great, but that whole process of getting to that point, I don't want to do that. So I didn't have that boundary set in me, like that understanding of myself. I'm like, okay, well, I got that vision, so I must just do it, right? And it looks cool. I'm going to recreate that. And so when you do that, just because I need to be next to that to do the code thing to clear it or whatever, the human me is getting tricked because I'm so sensitive to that, but I don't know why I'm sensitive. And so now that I know this, I've been working on that. So every time I get those things, it can be all kinds of stuff. It's like going on live or not. It's making a video or not. I need to make sure that it fits in the parameters of my boundaries with myself, because it could be one of those cleaning things of another version of me and for everyone else and shit like that. And it could be for me later for something else, but I need to know, does Nicole, the physical Nicole, need to do those steps or want to do those steps? And that's how you can tell, is if you want to do it or not. So and it's very subtle. So that's where I'm at with that. But this can happen in all different stages and in different ways. Like, this is just an example of what happens to me. But there's different things that people get involved in. And like, I know people that get into starseed stuff and they have intense psychosis, because when usually, not always, but most of the starseeds, they're like a hub for those energies to come in and out and work on the external reality of the matrix. And so when they're able to just come and go. So usually if they come to like something like a galactic federation or those weird little systems, they get to make sure that they're okay. So they can't just be random and doing whatever they want. But if they come to a hub, that can mess up the person, because it's like my timeline thing I was talking about. They could be coming in and out and in and out and doing these things, and they might be doing all this stuff, and you can feel it because you're the hub. You're the one that's here so that they can come in and out, whatever, right? And so these people get psychosis because they think they are doing it. They think they came for this, but actually that energy is not like, you know what I mean? Like, didn't incarnate. It's like they're literally a hub, and it's not permanent. And they could be up to weird things that might have nothing to do with anything.
We're losing service.
Uh-oh, is it working? Sometimes when I talk about those things, it gets weird. Is it okay?
Can you hear me again? I had to go back by the window. I think I lost service there for a
that's
moment.
okay. Sometimes the connection gets weird when I talk about those things. I don't know why. It didn't yesterday. I wonder why it did today. Is it working
There's
better
a
now?
lot of things. Yeah, it's working a lot better now.
Okay.
You know, there's some things I've noticed. Just doing the phone.
Uh-oh, I didn't hear you this time.
Like I said, I have issues with that myself on some things when I try to look up a certain thing, like, oh, is this going on with these individuals, with the police doing this, or these dirty officials? And sometimes it works, sometimes it gets really buggy, and it doesn't want to work at all. And I'm like, okay, what is that?
Yeah. But, like, you mean, like,
It's not like I
specifically when
imagine
you're
them
doing
being. Yeah, like there's certain officials that I know they're taking bribes. I've watched it happen. I've watched them slip into their little secret caves for their orgies. And I was like, okay, that's whatever, you do you. I'm going to mind my business. But then they show up in my life later on and repeatedly keep showing up over and over and over again. And I'm like, why are you here? Stay away from me. But anytime I try to figure out any information to keep them from doing illegal activities, it'll get weird really quickly.
Yeah. Well, those are, I think, like I said, I think those are, it's a combination of things. It is knowing that there's like a lot of stuff going on. It's knowing about what you can do as a human. Not just like how you're connected and your clearance, if that makes sense, but what can you actually do like in your life to make that happen? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is when you do, have that clearance and observation and able to see things, you need to ask your energies why you have those things. Because I have this too, I'll tell you in a second. You have to know why you're seeing those things, and you need to ask which version of you is seeing those things and who is in charge in the sense of sending it, like why, like not sending it, but helping you be aware of those things and on top of those things. And then the third thing is noticing how it matches with your life, as in like, is it relevant to how you want to lead and live your life? Like, is it something that you can see yourself continuing and growing into? Is, you know what I mean? Like, is it a part of your tool set? Is it going to help you have a new tool to either help yourself or others, like to translate for others? Or is it something to keep going with it, if that makes sense? Like, keep like,
Oh,
you know, like
it's
it
all
could
the
be something
Masons that were
bigger.
part of the cult that are sorry. It's all the
What?
Masons that are part of the cult that have been well, handlers.
Yeah,
They're
but I'm
all from
talking
the
about
same
you.
lodge.
But I'm talking about you. These are the things that, because that's another thing.
That's why
Talking
I'm
about
trying
what
to.
they're
That's why
doing.
I'm trying to. No, I'm saying that's what I'm trying to reflect back over to. That's why I'm trying to understand
Okay.
why
Yeah, but
I. That's why I think maybe they're important, is to keep
yeah,
them at bay, keep them away from me, and to protect myself.
but you need to, like I said, you need to get in contact with your energies in the sense that you feel like you can have a back and forth about it, so that you know you're not guessing. You're able
Okay.
to, able to like, because if you're gonna get into that, you like into it as in like just keep that as a thing that you're doing. You need to be sure of those three things in the sense that you're able, sure meaning not like, oh, I know what I'm doing, sure that you have contact about those three, like they're important, and they can like, you can keep it up as a human. You can, you know, you can understand why you, when and why you see those things specifically, like all the time, and you get those like pings. And then also the first one, which is like, what is like, what is your physical body like up to, as in like, what can your physical body bring you to go and do, if that makes sense. So you have to, those three need to be something that you can continually look into comfortably, for it to be like, do you know what I mean, for you to feel empowered and be able to like do the stuff that you want to do. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And I would be
Kinda. I'm
happy
trying
with
to. I'm trying
to
to
go through those with you in like a session, or like the Patreon thing and stuff like that. We can do that, but I don't know if it's like a live thing that you'd want to do. But we can like definitely go through all three, and I can help you with those and more if you want. But those are the three things you can do yourself. Even you can like write them down and have a look. But those are the things that are like, I feel like those are the things that are like the things that need to be explored for it to actually be something where you, like I said, like you should feel empowered in this way. Not should, but you, it's like you need to feel like you something, do you have your back while you're doing this, because it's not easy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair for you to just like be like, oh, maybe, or I'm gonna do this because it's the right thing. Like, you know what I mean? You really like need to have this support of yourself. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
it's definitely where I'm like
Yeah.
at an ends right now because everything's telling me to focus on the self growth, focus on this, focus on that, and like I said, almost in a situation where it's going to get rough if I don't get up and do something.
Yeah, but you need to
So
know how, and like I said, you need to have that support, even if that's the case, whether it is or isn't. Either way, you need to have that support of yourself and your energies and your team and your focus, if that makes sense. Because it's not something that you can just be like, you can be like, woo, it's, you know, it's like serious business. So it's like, it needs to be like sustainable. Like, it needs to keep, yeah, it needs to be sustainable. It can't be a one-off thing. It's like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to say it without being like over the top, right?
without being on the nose, I think I
No,
get it. Just
to go
I
too
leaned
like
I leaned
intense with it.
super. Yeah, I leaned in super heavy on one side and then got to fall on my face on the other side. That
Yeah.
makes sense. That's why I was like, okay, let's find the balance because the whole entire time I was being told like, "Oh, you're good, keep going, you're good, keep going." And I was like, "Really? It's
They're
getting
giving
kind of
they're giving me an analogy. So the analogy they're giving me is like, let's say you are and by the way, hello tennis. I'm gonna say this really quick and then we can all chat together. So they basically say that your energies are saying that it is very similar to picking up a job for the secret services, and you need to have a team that has your back and can give you intel while you're doing stuff, and you need to have that confidence in the sense that you've been trained by the ones that have your back, which in this case that equals you, right? And then you continually will know why things are happening, and you're able to put puzzle pieces together because you know the bigger picture, like not the human, not just the human stuff, like you know, like the bigger picture of what's like what that comes from. And even if you don't, you have access to that version of you that does, so that you can be guided to know those things. So it's like, it's really like that. So like when you're in Secret Service, not only do you have to be kind of not picked, but you have to be like, have the credentials. You also have to trust that, you know, that team, and the team has to trust you. And then you also have to have that practice, if that makes sense. And so it's not just about having experience in the field and being like, you know, knowing about it in and out, like how you've told me about that. It's about the bigger picture version of it, and also using what your experience is as an asset kind of as well. Does that make sense?
Okay. Trying to make it
So
all
it's
come
like,
together in one instead of just leaning.
yeah, it's focusing on your backup, and backup meaning like your intel, and learning what the intel is, why are you seeing this intel, what do those intel mean, and being able to have those contacts of saying, okay, I saw this again, why am I seeing this, why is this relevant to me? If you don't have answers for that and you have to assume, that is not safe for you.
The
It's not.
the answer, the only big answer I receive, and is clear cut, and I've received it multiple times, is this will make them believe. This will make them wake up. And so I was like, yeah, but what's going to happen to
That's not
me?
good enough. Yeah, that's
I'm
not
like,
good
what's
enough.
going to happen to me? And they said, have faith, help is on the way, and then that like stuff would get better. And then it just kept saying delay, 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 and I'm like, I'm at the end of my rope here.
That's that's not good enough. If I seriously, I don't want, like I said, I would love to help you. Like I really want to, but I can't force you to. But like I really, like I know like that we can get deep into it. Like I really want to,
I
but
think
like
we.
you have to be ready for that.
Well, I'm kind of at the point where I'm ready to jump out into the ocean, sink or swim mentality with it, because fear hasn't got me anywhere.
It
But there
doesn't.
is one I want to talk to you
Fear
about.
just
What
means
in the heck?
you don't have the whole story. That's what fear is.
Yes. What the heck is the four horns going up, two horns going down, and like horn coming out beneath its ears? It's got a, like a bull nose ring and two massive eyes that are oriented instead of how ours are, just make a 180 shift or a 90-degree shift with them, rotate them around. That guy kept popping up, and I'm just like, I'm not afraid of you. What are you doing?
So
And
this is a context thing, and I don't know if you've practiced this, but context means that you have you have found a way to start understanding your symbols, because when the symbols come to you, I know people think that they're universal, but they're actually very personal.
that makes way
And
more sense. Thank you.
yeah, they're extremely personal. And when you don't know your own language, meaning you haven't, I call it like you start to subscribe to all the things. So when people see repeating numbers, they think that the repeating numbers are one thing or whatever. And there are only those one things that they're deciding because they've decided that, but they're deciding to limit themselves. So you start to, there's a stage that I talk about in my Patreon, where you start defining what each symbol means to you. And then when you get those symbols, they're not going to be random. You're going to get those symbols based on what your language is. So in the beginning, it's going to be wild. I have some ideas, but those are a mix of our similarities, because I know some of our similarities we have, but it's only those similarities. I don't have the full knowledge. You know what I mean? As in, like, you haven't started subscribing to these things, as if that makes sense, your own things. So when you don't, it's like we both have libraries, and there's a common section to the libraries, and I understand all those, and that's not enough. It's because you haven't put books in your library for in the sense of symbols, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
yours is filled with let's see. We have two shared libraries. So the shared libraries are our energy stories libraries that we're sharing. And so I have access to this until we start working and you start like going, okay, I see this and this and this. And then we start building more together, and you can share those things with me. And then there's one that everyone knows, like all the common things that people talk about, that I can like say, okay, it's kind of like this, it has this vibe in our story. And then if you talk about this, I can say it's like these things humans talk about that you are having, that you talk about in your story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I
So
noticed they're not random. At first, I was thinking they were random, but they're not.
they're
Every
never
time
random.
I
But
was
they're
getting
going to be random
closer.
if you're not building your library to understand them. And then later you'll be like, oh my God, it's completely obviously. Like for me, the one that was always a mystery forever was garlic. I kept getting garlic and I was so confused because I had not started that system that I do where you do that, where you start subscribing and to what they are. And when I say subscribing, I don't know why I keep saying subscribing. It's actually assigning, not subscribing, assigning meaning to certain symbols. And you start looking at things that you like, and you're like, okay, this symbol means this to me, this means this. And also, when I saw that in this blah, 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 I really felt so called, and, you know, whatever, it could be anything, it doesn't matter. But those are usually the more fun ones, are the ones that you feel called to. And so when you do that process later, and you start getting really, like, you have a huge library, one day those ones in the beginning that you're like, what is that? They start to click. You're like, oh, that's what it is.
Well,
But I
like
can help you with those now
okay.
because I was by myself when I did that, but I can help people with those. But it would be a lot of back and forth because we would have to start exploring things. And I would love to do that. I live for this.
Oh,
So if you want
I
to do
was
that,
I
it's very
wanted to
exciting.
share a fun one with people that are watching. I don't live in an area where there should be armadillos.
There you
Three
go.
baby armadillos came up and ran across my feet while I was on a walk. I was like, okay, okay, why are you guys here? And I mean babies. Like they should have been with their mama. I'm like, um, cool, cool. Don't know what that one means, but that's a new one. Three baby armadillos. Where did you come from?
I know why with that one,
But
but this is something that you have to work towards understanding, because if I say it, it's not right to you, if that makes sense.
yes, and that's
Like
part
as
of this
with
that drives me insane. I've noticed that you can't use other people's, like you fully can't use what other people have if you haven't discovered it for yourself to some degree. Otherwise, it doesn't stick, and it doesn't conceptualize with my understanding of it. That's
no,
what I keep
like if
running
we had a
into.
session, I would be able to do it because there's loopholes. I can ask you questions, but that's the loophole. So like when I'm in a session, I can do that. So I could like we can figure everything out in session.
Okay, and
Just
I got
that it's a lot. Like that's why my sessions are like an hour. So it's a lot where we need to like it's okay. So it's not gatekeeping. It's a lot of back and forth, and sometimes the things are uncomfortable that we need to go through to get to that thing. And it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like basically your version of, instead of you doing it over like a few months, I'm helping you do what you did in a few experience in those couple of months in a journey, if that makes sense. That is like in the session. So when I do that, it's like because I'm the little queen of zip files, I can help you with the zip file, if that makes sense. So we open the zip file together, like it's your codes that are yours. We open it together and I show you the folders so that later you can unlock them. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, you are still trying to find and download that zip file. And then you can go through those folders. But sometimes people don't know there's folders. They get the zip file and they're exhausted. So that's what I help with. But some people can do it anyway, like they just do it. But when they have those issues, that's when people come to me, because I'm not doing it for them. I'm not just telling them. I'm showing you a process while I do it, so that not only are we getting through that less painful, if that makes sense, it's a bit easy, but it also is showing you a way to do this for yourself anytime later. So it's like, I have things for blocks energetically as well, like tools to try out, because like I said, I'm not giving the answers in the sense of being like, this is what it is. Like, you know how people do that? Because that's not fair, because otherwise it's not going to be true to you. So what I do is usually I have the same thing as the person, because I'm connected to your energies, like the bigger energies, like I connect with them. Usually it is the same, but the way that you're going to perceive it is going to be way more special and profound, and I can help you get to that there, if that makes sense. And then on that journey, you learn how to keep doing that yourself, because you learn through your way of doing it, not my way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can follow that one pretty well.
So when people just go, you are this, like that is like, yeah. Okay, who cares?
The Starseed folk chased me down for that one.
Yeah, but like that's just like, who cares? Also, like, who cares? Why? Like, okay, I am the queen of Egypt. Who cares? Like, why? Like, cool, all right. But if you do these journeys, which would be like, let's say it takes 3 months, you go on a 3-month journey, that profound thing, we can have that in a session because of my specialty. I can help that process, and then you can have your own month ones, but it's going to be like, you'll know what's going on. You'll be like, oh, I'm going through this cool journey. It's fun. Like, you don't always want to go in a session with me, because going quick like that is not as fun as the journey. But not knowing about how to do it, you need to have it quick in a, like a class, right? It's just like going to a class to start a business. You don't want to have it as long as you starting that business. Can you imagine having a class like that? That would be horrific.
Yeah. My class right now is
class. Yeah.
I think that's actually my issue. My class right now is about to like make me homeless, so I got to figure something else out.
That's what I mean. So you have that little quick class, and you actually get something done in the class as well. Like, you do a project or whatever. But at the same time, you're like, oh, I feel like, okay, even if this takes some time, I know what's going on, and it's actually fun, and it's worth it. But instead, you're doing it, you're like, this is not worth it. I'm alone. This is driving me crazy, and stuff like that. So that's the difference between that. And I try to make it approachable for everybody. So if someone can't have a session with me, which is, I mean, I think that is the way to do it, to be honest. Like, it really is. But I tried to make alternatives so that even if someone couldn't have a session with me for financial reasons, or they just don't feel comfortable or whatever, I've tried to do tiny little snippets. So like little, pick-me-ups, so that it's still not as brutal. So I've done my best. I even have free stuff and things like that. But yeah, I've tried to do that for everyone. But the sessions, I'm telling you, it really is that. It's like literally a tiny little version of that, so that you can just do it yourself.
Because I have been bulldogging this for the past month. Like, everything I've learned has just been from trial, error, trial, error, trial, error.
Yeah, which is normal, but don't you want to know if it's worth it? And don't you want to know how it feels for like something, like at all? Like that's basically the difference. Because everyone can do this their own, but it's really hard, because you have all these 3 things going on. You have the human body, you have your bigger energy, and that's simplifying that. And then you have also the human systems that are crumbling at the same time. Like, so you're like working in, and you have to work with all these systems. So you have these 3 things that people usually think are just like whatever, but they're actually really important. And don't think about them. But anyway, yeah.
I did learn finally. Gray cats mean that I am doing an activity or going in a direction that will bring me peace. That one took me forever to realize. But
Exactly.
when a
Peace
gray
is
cat,
the ultimate.
yeah, when a gray cat pops up on a flat bridge where there's no way it could have climbed up or even got there, you're like, okay, that's getting hard to ignore. Oh, there's another gray cat. Oh, there's another gray cat.
There is one thing that I'm gonna say. They will not leave me alone. Your energies are like, please. So
The cats?
no, it's
Or what?
about the animals.
Oh,
So I'm giving you a gift.
well, thank you.
They are your energy families, and they're all coming to. They're coming.
That's not good because a lot of horses used to follow me around, and those are a little harder to hide.
No, this is a cute thing. This is like
Okay,
they
okay.
really are just like we are here, and you better know that we are. Kind of. It's like they don't want you to even like question it, and that's basically what it is. Like I was the bird.
Hey, now that you've cleared that, this is how my understanding of it worked. I am getting a little bit more in tune. I knew that you at some point did another live stream and that you had hoped that I had shown up there. And that's all I could get from it. It was either a passing thought you had, I don't know, but for some reason I knew. And I just like sat up and was like, what? Why am I thinking about the live stream right now?
I'm giving you another gift really quick. It's basically so when I say energy family, you know how people say soul family and things like that. When they're saying that kind of stuff, they're
Yeah.
saying like the stuff that they've learned about, like just like um like they think about like, you know, you go and you incarnate together and things like that, and that's very cute and lovely. But this is not what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is there is the creation family, and they take this very seriously. Like it's um it's very serious. And that is why it's they want you
I
to
need a.
understand that it's not that. It's not like it's not just randoms. That's what they're saying. It's not just like random branches. It's I'm not going to say it because what they're saying is elitist and I don't like that. But yeah, I can tell you later, but I don't like saying that out loud to everybody. But it is
Well,
it's they take it very seriously, and I'm talking about the big guns, like the biggest in creation, kind of.
okay,
Um,
so I don't need like a white hood or anything, right? Because I'm not really about that.
no,
Okay. I can do the whole Ring of Fire chant, but I'm not going anywhere beyond that.
no, it's like I'd say if you've seen some of my videos where I talk about original energies, it's that.
Okay. I will say with your videos, I get lost a little bit just because it talks in nuance. And there are moments where I'm like, oh, I think I'm understanding. And then there's the second half of it, and I'm like, and I didn't. I went the wrong direction. Okay, let's restart this and try again.
That's the
And
library thing. So remember I had the library analogy where I said that there's some common things. Here's the human library that I always have in common with everybody else that looks at anything having to do with ancient texts and spirituality and things like that. And so that language that I use, people are like, I got it. And then when I talk about the stuff that we share, that's where the person comes to the video. We share them, and I know them, and it pulls them in. But the person hasn't assigned them yet. So their brain, this is what the brain does, the brain starts searching. So it searches for those library. It knows that there's something in common and there's something cool going on here and there's a connection. But then there's no library as a human that, like a human library, that you've decided to understand those things. So you feel it and you're like, this, you get this one, and then you feel the familiarity that's really deep and big, but then you don't have the library books that you've assigned yourself to back that up.
no, but I got some neat shelves, okay? So you leave my books alone.
But you will. That's the cool part, is that when this happens, then there's like a little seed so that you don't, like, you won't get a choice. That seed is planted if you're interested. So
Okay.
that's what happens, is like things will start coming to you, like animal vibes like that. Other things will start coming to you. So like I probably talked about something like that, and then this happens, and then this happens. And so like, and it's up to you if they're interesting, and you accept them into or integrate them into what makes sense in your life. And this happens, it's not just me, it happens with everybody. So like, other people could do this. It could be a art piece. This happens with everything. That's why sometimes people will go in front of a painting and start crying. And they're like, I have no idea why. I've never cried in front of a painting. It's because they're having that moment where they feel this, but they don't have the library stuff to back that up. And they might know some of the symbols. They're like, okay, the title says blah, 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 and they understand how to read. So that's the shared symbols. So that it happens all the time.
I'm worried about what that says about me, because if I look at certain trees, very large and very old trees, I just start crying, and I'm like, well, I don't know why it's happening again, but here it is. We're going to enjoy it.
That's a great example. It's the same thing.
But I just thought at heart I was a hippie or something for the longest time. I was like, I guess I love it. It's all good.
I mean, that's a fun title to give that, but that's what that is.
That was like 10 years ago, before I had any idea what any of this was, because like I wanted to use my gifts to try and work. I really don't want to go back to a 9 to 5, but it looks like I'm going to have to for a while. It's going to be miserable, but it's okay. I'll make the best of it. But I have one that I really, really want to learn how I do it, because it's always happened at the most random times. I get extremely hyper-focused, and next thing I know, something that leaves my hand can make a 45-degree angle, like turn in the air. I was like, oh, okay. How did I do that? How did I do that? And then it happened again, and then it happened again, and again, and again. And sometimes it happens at the worst time. I threw a jug of milk across the floor without meaning to when I was cooking, and I was like, oh, I need that. I went to go reach for it, and it went past me. I was like, well, there's another mess to clean up. Okay, we really need to learn these and try to get it taken care of.
They just said something about, really quick, we're going to talk to Tennis and Camille.
Absolutely.
So they said to say, when you're like, let's say you're in a village and like everything's gone and you're just in a village. What would you want to do to help everything run? Like, what would be your like thing that you'd like to do?
To help run the village?
Yeah. And this is like really a deep thing. It's not like, what should you do? Like, what would bring you joy?
I'm really good at project management, and I do enjoy it. Like, in my mind, I can always see a project from start to finish, just because I know I'm psychic. I can see what it's going to be once I've decided, or if somebody tells me like what they did to me in the cult. They said, I want this and this, and I'd be like, oh, it would look like this, and look like this, and look like this, and look like this. And then
so you'd be like a visionary, like to say like, this is a good project. Like, you kind of be like the risk assessment at the same time. You'd be like, yes.
Resources were needed. I could get it down to board footage. I could be off by 2 feet and be like, yep, okay, that's how much we needed.
Okay, so because you said the 9 to 5 thing, try to find a way that you can do something like that. Because, for example, me, if I had to do that, like if I decided, you never have to, but if you've decided that you have to, what you have to do is you need to think of that, go back to that vibe of how you feel, like that you love it and it makes you excited, and try to fit that to a 9 to 5 thing that is in need. So, for example, mine would be, I would like to empower people. So for me, that means a lot of things. That's pretty vague. So it could even be like me going to work in a hospital to help, to keep like children company or something like that, or go to work in an, do like little projects and go to an old folks home and help them feel excited again, like do a knitting project or something like that. So like there's different things that you can do that we don't think of. We think, okay, I have to do this. That's what they said to think of. If you feel like that's going to make you feel comfortable, because you do have to find a way to feel safe and comfortable with whatever you do. But you don't have to suffer in that if it means you need to Like whatever job it is that you need to have to realize you don't need a job, you don't have to suffer in that job, if that makes sense. That's what they're saying.
Okay, because I'll make this really quick too. I'm sorry for taking so long. Is it tennis or
No, don't
tennis?
worry. I just, because they just came up, so I'm just like, I didn't even say hi.
But I, like, even when I was 19 years old, I was in charge of over 300 grown men, guys who were in their 30s and 40s, and we were constructing towns in really inhospitable terrains.
Yeah.
And I was good at it. No one taught me how to do it. I just knew how to do it. I knew how to make sure everybody was clothed, fed, kept warm. I, without having to ask people, I know their needs, and it would
Yeah.
freak people out. I got called a freak all the time because of it. I'd walk up to somebody and go, "Here, you're going to need these 2 jugs of water." "How did you know that?" I was like, "Well, one for cooking and one for drinking." He goes, "How did you know I'm doing that right now? I haven't even got the stuff yet." I was like, "Just a feeling." Like, "Well, that's freaking weird. You're a weirdo." And then take off. I'm like, "And now you're hydrated, so kiss my butt. I don't care."
Yeah, I'm similar, but the difference is like you need to think about, did you like to do that?
I like taking care of people in that manner. I like to help out the individuals that don't know what they need to
Yeah.
survive a certain
Yeah,
situation.
but you do realize, like when I said the thing I said, it's very vague, and you can literally do anything. You don't have to. You don't have to do it in that way. Do you see what I mean? Like you can do anything. Like you don't have to do it. You don't have to express that love and desire that you have in that way. You can do it in any way. Like it's not very specific, if that which is a good thing.
No, I understand what you mean, but I was thinking about trying to do that with the music industry, and the next thing I know, dozens of people that are in the music industry sending me stuff on this app and trying to message me, and they keep showing up on my For You page, and I'm like, oh, I accidentally did it. I accidentally wished for this. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's just that you need to see, like, you need to just keep being like, okay, I want this, and it's okay. Like, it just focus on what you want to do, not what you can do or what you're good at. Because what you're good at is the, like, society norm that people say. It's not about what you're good at, because everyone could be good at anything. It doesn't matter. What it is what you enjoy doing and what's sustainable and like special, like what you specially like, not what people have told you like, not people who've told you you have to do something. It's like literally your existence. Like I always give this example of when you're just sitting somewhere, like and people tell you something, like that is you not doing anything. You don't need to do anything, right? You're just existing. So once you build on that, you build on like, okay, so it comes from just you existing and sitting there, and then you build on it to actually doing something, as in like what you want to do. Okay, how do I express this stuff I now know that I do without doing anything? How do I express it in the way I like, that I love, that keeps me going? It doesn't drain me. It doesn't make, even if it's good and it helps people, it doesn't matter. What keeps me going? Because whatever that is, it's going to help people and it's going to keep going. And it's going to keep filling you as you do it instead of draining you. And that's like the boundaries with yourself. It's knowing your limits. Boundaries are limits. How much can you do? Because you're a human right now. How much can you do that is infinite where you can do it? Like you literally need to make yourself stop because you need to sleep now. Not for other people, just because you're doing it. Right? That's what you need to think about. Okay. And because like I said, you have something that's very broad, like I do, you get to decide how to narrow it down if you want to.
I know that I do need to have that one-on-one with you at some point, just because the way I've learned my abilities is from stress and from being beaten up and tortured and all the fun crap that came with it.
And that's not fair.
I don't have the elegance with it. I can make certain things happen just because I've done it enough times that it's a muscle. I can flex it, but I don't know how to control it.
Yeah, it's not about control. It's about knowing what you like. Knowing what you want.
Say if I worked at a drive-thru, and I've done this before, I could put all the food on the grill or in the fryer before they ordered, and it would be what they wanted. And my manager was just like, okay, cool. I don't know how you did that. I'm going to go get high. And he'd take off, and I'd just be left doing my thing. I was like, I don't know how I'm doing this. I just do it.
Yeah.
I want to get to the point where I can have more awareness
But
with
that's
all of
where
it
it comes
and
from.
implement it.
But that's where it comes from. It comes
Okay.
from knowing what you want and knowing how you want to express it and where you want to express it and what's going on. Because like I said, we are always doing these things. We're doing the things people talk about in spirituality. We're doing the things that we know that is special to and unique to our energy. We're doing them all the time. And like I said yesterday, when people were asking me about, when everyone asks me about when I started this and things like that, it gets harder and harder the more you're aware of yourself, because you start to see when you do things that seem really silly when you're a kid, you start to see that it was not silly. It was actually you being you and doing it in that circumstance. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can literally just be laying down. You could be working at McDonald's. You could be a go-go dancer. It doesn't matter. You're going to be doing that in the style of your energy, and you're going to be expressing it in the style of your energy always. It doesn't matter how broken someone gets, they're always going to be doing it. When you're forced to do something, you're going to be doing it in the style of your energy. So the key here is when you say control and understanding it, it's understanding the flavor of it really well, not what you do for others, what your actual thing is without other people involved. And then introducing that later and seeing like how people see it and perceive it in different stages of your life. And then after, you start to see, how do I want and love and like to do this kind of expression? Where do I want to direct my energy? Where do I want to, how do I want to? But you have to know what the flavor is, not having to do with human stuff, the flavor of it without human stuff, to know how to direct it. Because it's not just as simple as a human thing of how to express. It's not. It is all kinds of stuff going on. And you get to decide which of those things that you have, not just that one thing that you keep using for either survival or your interactions with people. You get to choose that. And that is when you get to do that. When you start to choose. And it can be daunting because it's infinity, but I'm here if you need my help.
Oh, infinity hurts, by the way. Anybody who hasn't done it before, ask her for guidance. Don't hit infinity or whatever you can perceive as infinity. Don't do it on your own. If you're not ready for it, it'll sneak up on you, and it will feel like the worst night terror you have ever had. And it comes, and it does not knock. It just shows up.
All right. On that note, let's take it to tennis.
Yeah, I'll hop off here.
No, you can still be here, but it's 10. Let's see what tennis says.
I'm quiet.
Hello.
It's Isabella. I talked with you the other day.
Oh, hi, Isabella. Yeah.
Oh, it won't let me change my name back to my name because.
Oh, that's okay. I'll remember you.
So, what was I going to tell you? Oh, are you married?
I have a partner.
Okay.
Why?
Because, so I am trying to figure out, if I need to be single or if I can, like, explore being with other people right now. And I'm, like, on the fence right now. And because I could do either one. I've just had really bad experiences in the past. And so the experiences were so bad that it feels like the fear feels like it's intuition. But because I know what I know about the way that I am, I know that I can override, like, my intuition is whatever I want it to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I need boy advice. I kind of feel like I should just book a session with you to talk about it because it's more than just.
It's personal, so I would love to talk about that.
Yeah.
And your energies are ready. I can feel them. So if you want to talk about that in a session, I would love to talk about that with you. And just remember from what I said in the last live, when I do them, we use what's happening as a example. but what we're going to do is you're going to be able to do this yourself. So it will be something like, it won't be me saying, you need to do this. It will be that we're going to walk you through every single part of it energetically. And then I'm going to show you how to redo that, if that makes sense. So it's not going to be just your boyfriend is this and you need to do this. It's not that. It's going to be like, it's going to be that. So just so you know, I think you know because we talked all day, not all day, but for a long time yesterday. So I think you understand that, but that, just so you know, that it's to empower you. And we will get to the bottom of your questions in the session, but they will be so that you can practice in the session so that you can do this and you can make better decisions in the sense of empowering yourself instead of seeking outside yourself. So that will always be what the sessions are about. So I hope that is, I would love to, but I hope that's what you're interested in as well.
I would love that too. I feel like I'll like learn myself the most with like a private session with you.
Yeah.
But since we're up here, let me try to think of a topic that everybody can relate to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so he was talking about work and trying to find a job. I'm actually a case manager, so I was like, I went into like work mode when I was listening to Trent talk about his life, and I was like, I want to help him find a job.
Oh yeah, Trent, here you go. Hook up Trent.
Where do you live, Trent?
Honestly, wouldn't mind it. I'm in Missouri at the moment, but I'm thinking about trying to relocate first. So I had some handlers assign me a wife who pretended to be my friend for a good long time. Then we got married, and I don't know if the kid is actually mine or not. And so I gotta wait and see what's going on with the justice system.
Who assigned
I'm
it
sorry,
to
what'd you say? There's a little bit of a cult situation that I grew up in, and it's Witches Coven meets Masons, and somebody used tarot or some kind of reading that got them all excited, like, oh, he's going to do this, oh, he's going to do that. And so then I became their little cash cow slave for ideas and all sorts of other things. And tried to escape, got to the military. They got me back, unfortunately. And then they trapped me with a woman that they had assigned to hang out with me and pretend to be my friend, and then my wife. She was none of those things.
Are you still there?
I am. I'm a few towns away, but I'm trying to figure out if I should stay to take care of my son, because I know she doesn't, and I don't even think he's actually my son, but we'll have to wait and see. I just don't really have the heart in me right now to go do a DNA test, because I know that she didn't take care of him as an infant, as a newborn. I was at work, I'd come home, have to take care of him. She'd be somewhere, either in town or sleeping in the back bedroom. He'd be laying in the living room floor. So it's just all around not a great situation. I gotta unfuddle some of the mess first.
Oh, I'm sorry you're going through that.
Me too.
It's gotta end eventually.
Is it Camila or Camille?
It's Camille, I think, right?
Hi, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Oh my gosh, what isn't going on? All good things. All good things, honestly. I have been reflecting on building bridges the last 24 hours, I guess, since I was last on here. Building bridges, the embodiment of honestly a lot of the topics that have come up, but yesterday when I spoke on the live, I was talking about this like really weird interaction I had when I tried to connect with the Hawthorns like 4 or 5 years ago, and I started crying and everything. And then, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of Nicole's work the last day and like learning about like what the gods are, which actually I found is like kind of close to how I actually thought about deity, because like in the way that I would explain it to people is I would be like, okay, there's like the source, which is like this energy that's beyond gender or word or whatever, just this like tap. But then there's like faces of the divine, and that's the different pantheons and the different stories that connect with the people in those cultures. And then when I started like digging into your work, I was like, okay, this is making sense. Like Nicole's view here is making sense. And like, no, I mean that in an awesome way, because I'm like, I've spent a lot of time in like pagan communities and also like Christian community, a lot of different communities that see things in a very like, no, it's like this. It's like there's these gods and there's no other gods. And I'm like, I think they're all kind of real. Like and it was like hard for me to explain that, but I'm like, I think they're all kind of real, because like it was for that culture, and like if you like connect with it. So like I'm looking at my altar right now, and it probably like would make no sense to anybody else, because I'm like, okay, I have Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, I have Bastet, I have Isis. I don't have a Sekhmet up here because I haven't found one for her yet. And then I have like different mystics up here. And I'm like, it makes sense to me because I connect with all of these energies.
Yeah.
And when I connect with them, I just kind of put them up here. I have, the medicine Buddha up here. But like anybody else would look at this and be like, what the F is this? So that's kind of where I am right now.
You're in a good place. It's a good place to be, because all you can do is just keep going deeper. Like whereas the other people that are going to judge that, they're like, hey, why aren't you staying where I am? And you're like, no.
No, I can't. I literally, that's what's so funny about it is I cannot. And I've always like seen myself as somebody who like holds a lot of contradiction but like, kind of like balances it out, and like finds a way to harmonize it. And like I've always felt like you're
using all the words.
Like, you know what I mean? I feel like
no, but it's so cool. You're using all the words. Like I have voice notes just about like all the words that you just used.
Yes. Well, I'm glad I'm here then, because it's very hard to describe to people like being like a walking contradiction and kind of like being on the fringes of different things. Like, I was explaining to somebody before about like there's a term like Christopaganism, which even that term like doesn't 100% work all the time, but it's like, like you can have different energies that all balance and fit together, and like they make sense within the altar of me, but they because now that I'm seeing it through like some of the work that I've read of yours, I'm like, oh yeah, these are my energies. Persephone, there's the other one too, like Persephone. I love liminal deities. Like I just love the like going into the underworld and coming back up thing. So yeah, that's the first thing.
Your energies are like
like
she's feeling it.
It's fun. Well, because you know what? It's really like yesterday was like kind of emotional for me, because I was reflecting on the like parts of my journey where I felt lost or like I don't belong, and like all of that stuff. And then like I've been doing the shadow work, and you said I should reflect on this question, like what makes you feel comfortable with being special. And I like spent some time like really digging into that, and I'm like, no, this is dope. Like it's really cool that I get to like be weird, but like in the good way, not in the derogatory way, in the good way, in the fun way. I get to be different, and I get to like have this special vibe, that is just mine, So
you get to choose. You get to choose. You get to build your story, and that's why I call it. I call that process the little mapping. I call it self-apotheosis, because it's basically you, like when we talk about the gods and stuff like that, like the humans that have become gods and stuff. What is it? There's a story. There is a connection to the origins, and there's all these things. And it's your story, and it's going to be unique, and it doesn't have to match up with other people. That's for everyday life. That's for making sure that we have the right measurement to bake a cake. It's not for your origins. They're not going to be, it's messy in a beautiful way. It's going to be like all over the place, and it's going to only make sense to you. It's like a organized chaos little map that is only for you, and only for you to go back and forth and all around whenever you want to and talk to this energy and talk to that. And it's not supposed to make sense to everybody. But that's why it's beautiful. And that's why it's profound and elegant and beautiful and gorgeous, because it's yours and it's for you to live the life that is authentic to you instead of random stuff that humans have come up with. Remember, they only have like if you think about it, you're not a minimum a teenager or something to build a system like, I don't know, like a government or something like that. They're going to be probably in their 20s or teens. And they probably did it for a few years and built that. Like, why would we put all of our life into these stupid structures? Why? Like, how is that going to be authentic to us? But we're going to have to do some of it so that we can communicate to people, but not our whole life. It needs to be a percentage. And yeah, like,
yeah, it's super fun. And I bought the Building Bridges workbook, so I'm gonna do that tonight, which I'm
thank you. I saw that. I was so excited.
Yeah, I was, well, that was on the list that we talked about yesterday, so I was like, I had that's the other thing. I had the wildest dream last night. And I do a lot in like a lot of dream work that's like very big for me, but we had the conversation, and then like, I got ready for bed, and I had this dream that like I was gonna buy the workbook, and it's really reasonably priced, right? Like it's only 35 pounds, which is like, I think like $40 or whatever.
Yeah.
That I was gonna buy it, but didn't. And then when I looked at the price the next day, it was $902. But you like raised the price overnight, and I was like, oh man, I don't know.
I'm dead. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I should pay that. That's a lot.
Oh my god, I think Trent can relate to this.
Did that happen to you, Trent? Oh wait, I might have missed that.
Listen to what Trent's story about what my energies did.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, which time?
Oh my god, they're so wild.
Which time? The bird, or you were talking about?
I don't know, there's more
You're talking about when... Yes, there's two. When you did the last live stream that I wasn't able to make it to, and Robin decided it wanted to wage war against my bedroom window. And then before that was me being harassed during meditation and having to go look up symbols to try and figure out who was bugging me. And then I'm like, okay, who is it? Take me to him, take me to him. So I'm like, okay, how do I normally do this? Let's get to my phone or get to the computer. All right, who's trying to get a hold of me? What's going on? And then I pop up on your live stream, and I'm like, okay, let's just see how this goes. And I wrote down every single word they gave me, and you ended up saying all of them throughout the whole entire thing. So I was like, okay. Oh, and I want to add who is...
Uh-oh, it's getting weird. We can't hear you.
I was going to say, read the book of Enoch if you're nervous about exploring outside of Christianity. Because in the book of Enoch, before they removed it, it says, praise be to God, the Lord of all spirits. And then it talks about all the other spirits.
Yeah.
It used to be in there. They got freaked out by it. They removed it.
Yeah. The Book of Enoch. Oh gosh, I could go down the rabbit hole of Apocrypha and Gnostic texts. I've read most. Oddly, I've read almost all of them except Book of Enoch. I still need to read, so that is a good reminder. I will be reading that.
Keep in mind that it is a bit. They're all kind of. There's a lot of energies that are talking shit about each other. So just keep that in mind when you're reading it as a context.
They absolutely are.
It's like whispers of like fights that they had, and they're like, and then they're like, the human also is like having their own opinion about it as well, and they're like, oh, and the humans also don't know that they're the energies that are talking to them, and there's a lot of gossip in that, so just keep that in mind.
Nice.
Yeah,
which makes it more fun, but it just keep that in mind.
Ever hear music to stuff that you're reading? When I was first reading through that, and I caught on to that it was different energies fighting each other. The song from is it Sabaton, the 189 in the service of heaven, that popped in my head. I'm like, it was you guys. You got everybody rambunctious. You got them worked up. You got them doing dumb shit. Calm down. They don't need to go.
Wait, I have to tell you about the thing with the live, because I thought that was you when you just said that. Like, now I realize what happened. So when you first said it, like, I mean, when you said it earlier, I thought you were talking about like another time. but it was actually it was on Wednesday. Oh, I think it was on Wednesday. It was last week. And I went on, and it was actually very late. For me, it was late. I don't think it was late for you guys, because you're in the US and stuff. But I went live, and everyone was staring at me. And this has happened before in the past, and I thought it was happening again, so I freaked out. And so basically, I saw that people were on here, and then some of them I knew. And then I also could feel, because I can always feel the people who don't tap in, I can feel them looking too. And so I kind of like got in a hissy fit, and I was like, I'm like, can you guys just stop staring and talk to me? And then one of the people that I know that was in here was like, well, you're so beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not what this is. I'm like, what is going on? And I started like being sassy. And then they said, oh, well, maybe it's because we're both of us are not meant to be around people. And I'm like, no, these people are supposed to be here and they're not. And so I think that's what
Yes, it was like puffed up, ruffled feathers, and just came up to the window and peck, 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 peck. I'm like, I really can't right now. I'm trying to get something done here. I got to figure out what we're doing with the bill situation. Peck, 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 peck. I'm like, okay, what is it? So I hop on TikTok and I seen that you were doing the live. And I was like, okay, I can hang out for a few seconds, but I really need to give my attention to this. And as soon as I put my phone down, peck, 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 peck. I'm like, okay, what's happening?
Love it.
oh no.
We're detecting a lot of sauce.
Oh gosh.
It made me laugh. I was like, whatever is happening right now, somebody wants my attention. And so, figured it out. Process of elimination.
You know what would be actually a question I just popped up in my mind that I think might would connect all the stuff that we're talking about. Like Trent's story, my story. I feel like this might be connected to the simulation, maybe. Like how our energies interact. And I don't know if I have a fully formed question here, but I'm like trying to like connect the dots here. Like why stuff like this happens. Like this isn't the first time I've had like weird, energetic syncs with people, and it's like I'm always like trying to figure out like why does that happen. It's like so mysterious, and I know you've talked a little bit before about the simulation, and I'm wondering if it has to do with that, or are like I saw some of your videos about like the internal reality and external reality. I don't know. Maybe
Do you want me to talk more about that first, or would you like me to talk directly about the connection things?
Yeah, maybe the connections first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in what you're talking about, like to be on topic and stuff, the connections can be many things. So there's something that happens. I was telling Trent earlier, there is the, original energy creation energies, and they take their connections and ties very seriously in the sense that every branch or bigger one that you're directly from, even if you're in a little branch, they take it very seriously in the sense that you're being a human right now, and if you have a big connection, either because you grew that connection or because you were just like, it depends on everyone's story. They take that very seriously because you're almost like you're on the ground thing, right? Remember when I talked about the hub with aliens and things like that? This is kind of a type of hub as well. And so I'm going to give one example of Abyss is one of the bigger ones, and a lot of the energies, like they forget that I'm a person or a human. It doesn't happen anymore, but it happens like all the time. And I was like, what's going on? And I didn't even know to tell them that I'm a human. Like, I was like, why are they were getting, like, I had this friend that we were doing stuff. It was like about, I think 3 years ago now. And we were like doing some energy kind of like chats and things like that, where we were like, chatting with the energies together and stuff like that. And they were saying, like, I didn't hear them. They got freaked out and they only were talking to her. And they told her, they were like, why does she not know this? I'm so worried. I need to like go do something. Like, what is going on? And they were freaking out, and they wouldn't tell us what we were like. We're playing. We're like,
Yeah.
like, being
Yeah.
funny. And like, I didn't know then what I know now. And so about myself or about how big things work, I knew some stuff, and she knew some stuff. And they were just like, they were so scared. And she's like, Nicole, they're very offended. Like, they don't even know. They're worried like that something happened to you. Like, how do they not know? And we didn't know that it was because I was just acting like a normal human, and they don't work with humans, and they didn't even know why they were even there. They were like, why am I here? And so that happens to me a lot where I pull them in. But anyway, so that's just an example of how it's like. So when there's energies, so like, okay, so my bigger version of me, like the biggest one, has like some kind of thing going on or whatever with another bigger one. And they can't be around each other for weird reasons. And then they find me, who has completely just been like, let's go. Like, they can literally, it's hard to explain. They can fix certain things that you couldn't without a human that is in that way. And so they get really intense. They're like, even if they know the human thing, because like I said, I made sure that people not people, energies know, because it's very intense. Like it took a lot of work because it was wild. I was just like, oh my God. And it's a type of boundaries thing, because boundaries are about knowing your limitations, right? I'm like, my limitation is being a human. Like, I can't do that. And so, yes, I can do a lot more than I could before because of what I've worked on, but it doesn't still mean that it's good for my life, right? And so I was already talking to this energy before, and I had all these different stories and memories that I received from them. And then this recent one, it was like, I don't know, earlier this year, they came and they were just like that and all excited. And it was like almost like a big puppy that didn't understand how big they are, but they do know. And they took advantage of it a bit. Like, and they were just, it was, to explain it, a human that tells these stories, they would think you're seeing a big energy going on top of you. But this is like having, without consent, a billion memories at once. So you're feeling every single feeling that's ever possible as a translation of this very abstract memory stuff. And so not having that in your everyday life, just coming every day in cute little things and dreams and stuff like that, is horrible.
Yeah.
It sounds cool, but it's horrible. And my head always gets on fire and like things like that. And my body has like rashes, like heat rashes, and it feels like I'm on fire everywhere in a very scary way, not in a sunburned way or a normal human way. And it's all energy stuff. And so I had to get rid of him. And I was just like, ah! And it was sad because I really enjoyed it and I really wanted that information, but he needed to know that I need it in a human way, even though he knows I'm a human. So that is why I'm telling you this, is that that's how serious how important, and I think if they think of it as very precious when they know that you are like that. So when that happens, and you get all these, like, a lot of people, like, it's rare. It's not like a typical thing. When people start getting all this crazy stuff, like Trent is talking about, that's what's happening. It's like, because, like I said, everything outside is a creation of everything you've done and mixed with what the rest of the simulation has done. But inside you, it's outside of the simulation, it's the opposite. Everything is like big and everywhere all at once. But inside you, and obviously it's different everywhere, but whatever. We're just staying here. In you is that's this similar to everything everywhere all at once. It's as it's going to get. So you kind of go. The more you connect with yourself, the more you start, like I said, leaking. That's why I made a joke about that. I'm like, oh no, I'm leaking. The more you do that, the more you start leaking and you experience it, and the people that you're connected to energetically, they experience it as well. Right. So I talked, and now we're going to get to the internal, external reality. So there's also more about that, but we're just going to stay there for now. I think that's a lot already. But so this is the internal reality, is that stuff I said, where you can literally keep going. You can think of your layers like an onion. And if you guys don't like this, let me know, because my partner, when I tell him this, doesn't like this analogy. Like, I don't know why, but if you guys don't like the onion layer, just tell me later. But I'm going to tell you the onion first. So you can think of this onion, all the layers, and they're like little water layers. And you swim into the center, which has a little seed. And you keep swimming and swimming and swimming and swimming until you get to the, you keep nourishing it every time you go in. But you have to hold your breath each time and get used to going and going and going and going and going. So when people say you're shallow or they try and be mean about it, it's not a mean thing. It's just the outer layer of you. And so you don't really have practice swimming deep. So when you come across another person that has not done that, they're only going to have information and knowledge in the library of that outside part. So they're going to meet you there, even though you have gone deeper. So you're going to probably know stuff about them that they don't know about this, and vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I said, and when you have that saying, the deeper you know yourself, the deeper you love. Okay. So that's going on at the same time as all your wounds and experiences and life stuff that you've done since you were a baby. And those are your little glasses of the outside world. So you compare with those little glasses, which I call filters. You compare your inner world of what you know, like how deep you've gone, with what you see out there. Mm. And that is your inner world, if you want to call it that, your internal reality. Mm-hmm. So that could be someone all of a sudden seeing little animals that are not supposed to be there, and you're like, what's going on? You're going to see them outside because you're starting to go deeper and learn more about yourself, and go, and either like you're being called to, and you feel the call with your little seed within, and your seed's like, like that. And so when you're doing that, you start to leak. You start to see repeating numbers. You start to see, synchronicity.
3 armadillos in a state where they shouldn't be.
Exactly. And so you start seeing these things, and it's like, it's your internal reality leaking through, and it's getting so vast, and you're exploring so much that it starts leaking. And like I said, we're connected. And so the more connected you are, we're all connected, but the more close in connection you are, the more people that are in your internal, external reality, which we're going to talk about in a second, are going to receive those as well. So, when you're in a group of 2 or more, whatever you pay attention to, whatever you decide is like your people, or it's exciting, or whatever the reason is, someone tricked you into it, they forced you into it, celebrity culture, politics, that's internal, external realities. And when I talk about the space taking up, and so when you're working on yourself or not working on yourself, even family, like no matter what, doesn't matter if you like your family or not, you're always going to be connected to them. And it's going to overflow into them too. That's why someone will call and be like, oh, and that's how you're connected, right? Mm-hmm. But that's its own little topic, but we're not going to go there. So I'm going to give you an example of Tatum, who has been coming in like the little stuff that I've been doing for years now. Mm-hmm. She and I, we know how connected we are family energy wise. It's like extremely connected, but I'm aware that we're humans now. So we're going to have connections in the style of what we're going to receive. Mm-hmm. Like it's going to be very similar, and that's how you kind of know that. It's not always the case, but you can kind of see, like when you're going through something, whether you're at different age groups or whatever, the way that the style of it, the cuteness of it, or whatever is going to be very similar. That shows how close you are. That's one of the things, but it also shows that she's decided to be in that internal, external reality and put energy into it. Mm-hmm. And so I am not even kidding. Every single time I am about to write something, like anything, like about a project or something, mm-hmm. it will be something she was wondering. Or when I'm going through something, she would be like, oh my God, like when I start talking about it, like she's like, oh my God, that was like what I was like seeing that all of a sudden in a dream. And so it's like goes both ways. So like, for example, with Trent, it was going both ways. So Trent was like, I need this. And I'm like, I need this too. And we're an energetic match. And then he went on the live, and then we connected. And then that is basically what happens. So you're calling out to each other, and then you connect if you want to. And then when you do that, there's all different ways to connect. And connecting usually has to do with spending time or, putting it in your life, basically. It's become a
Right.
part of your life. And so that is what makes the internal external reality what it is. So the politicians you look at, the celebrities, the TikTok posts, everything like that, all the attention that you give and you integrate in your life, blah, 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 depending on what you're doing with yourself, that will keep overflowing. So that's why I was talking about how important it is to me. We were talking about Hecate earlier and how this is one of the things she's doing as well, is she wants those ones that have been taking up space in the internal external reality to flip. And when they flip, that is like the process she's working on to help them flip. When they flip, they don't always flip in the way that is like obvious, but one of the ways that could happen is they release it to all the people who really don't have practice with this stuff. And they all of a sudden are like, oh my God, what should I do now? Like my shows are not here or blah, blah, blah. And then they start thinking for themselves because there's nothing to mindlessly give their energy and attention to and fulfill. But
watching TV and that
they
made the
want
dogs stop showing up.
What was that?
I was saying, to give an example, I stopped watching TV and that made the dogs stop showing up. So
That's an example because it's basically when that, especially that, like it's like very important for her. Like it's very important for her that you are thinking for yourself and you're choosing things. So even if you make what people would say a bad or a good decision, it doesn't matter. If you chose that decision, she's like, yes, like that is like her job basically. So it's like the key. She's like me. She's the key lady. She wants you to take the key and do something with the key instead of just being like, okay, this person told me that this key is this and I have to do this. No. What are you going to do with the key? Are you going to throw it away? Are you going to ignore it? What's your choice? You know, make a choice. Like, and the choice could be anything. It could be no choice. Like, you know what I mean? But you need to choose it. So anyway, that's what that was. But that's what is going on with that. And she's like really into it as well. And so I really am into it. She's really into it. And it's like this flip that happens. There is someone that's very surprising that's doing it in a very weird way, but they're doing it. And I'm very surprised. And I'm like, what is going to happen next? And I'm not allowed to say, but there's someone that you probably can guess, but don't say it. But yeah, it's very wild and I'm very confused, but I'm like, I did not think that was going to happen. But anyway, so it will start happening more. It's not as active as it should be. Okay, so anyway, so now we're going to the external reality. So the external reality happens based on all of that stuff we just talked about spilling all the way to there. And that also includes like I said, the percentage. So a percentage of people, including what they pay attention to and what they think and that thinking for themselves mixed with that and in their groups and all that stuff, if the majority is blah, 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 this simulation makes it so. And so this is why understanding as an adult, because obviously children, it's going to be like random and it doesn't make a difference. But as an adult, it's up to us to see, what do I pay attention to? Do I want to? And if you want to, it doesn't matter what the reason is. If you want to, that's enough.
Yeah.
And it's just about making those decisions of those. Your internal work, it's fine. You can do whatever you want. But it's like, that's how we make the biggest impact, is how deep we go and how we do it and making decisions. So even if the decision, like I said, is to do nothing, that is a decision. And you have to like tell yourself why you made that decision. And that is enough. That is exactly, and you don't have to do it. It's just for people who want to know what they can do to change the bigger stuff.
Yeah. God.
Sorry, I didn't want to.
Yeah, no.
There's a nuthatch that will not leave me alone. Which of you, who here identifies as a nuthatch? You need to speak. It's okay.
Wait, okay. Nuthatch. It's so funny you say nuthatch, right? Because I was at my parents' house 2 days ago, and I live in New Jersey.
Does that make you?
And we go bird watching all the time. And I saw this bird fly up, and I was like, "What? I've never seen this bird before. What kind of bird is this?" My mom turns around, and she's like, "Oh, it's a nuthatch!" Like immediately, like she knew.
Oh, it's you, Camille.
It's me.
you.
It's me. Birds. I have a very like tight connection with birds. That's
Me
yeah. So I'm sorry. Sorry to send you that
I'm getting
match.
squared up with my little bird right now. He just keeps hopping closer and closer in between my feet, and I'm like waving my arms, and he's just looking at me, strutting his head. I'm like, okay, this ain't just a bird. All right, who did this?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good for sending birds. That's kind of my thing.
We're gonna be sending you lots of birds, Trent.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's happening now.
You see my swan?
I love it. Oh, it's so pretty. What was I gonna say? Yeah, no, all of that makes sense. I got I think it was last year that like I don't know if it was in meditation or whatever, but Spirit was saying that like attention is currency, and that it's
Exactly.
like the
Sure
it's
is.
the number one currency. Like it's and I ended up making a podcast episode about like does voting matter? I think it was like before the
Oh my god, you got it. Yes, it's not just currency, it's voting.
It's voting, like you're voting with your energy, and like if the more you're aware that you're doing that, the more that you can do it. Like you have to be aware that you're doing it, because like I don't know, I was getting into these arguments with people about like, does it matter if you actually go to the voting booth? And I was like, listen, like whatever actions you take are actions that you take, but like your energy and like where you're focusing your attention is what matters ultimately. And if you decide that that's going to manifest as you go into a voting booth or not, or talking to your friends about something or not, or watching a certain TV show or not, or throwing out your entire TV or not, or going to feed all of the homeless in your area or not, whatever, like the energy leads first and then everything else comes after that, kind of. I don't know. It's like I just
And then on top of that, it's knowing about like that it's also you as well. Like you like what you're doing, the activities. And this is where I talk about when people get that, the next stage is to say, okay, what is your favorite like what is actually like I was saying the thing when people were talking about politics and things like that. What is your thing that you want? Like, what do you want to see? Yeah. And so what the next stage of this is once you understand and you've practiced that, where you've really cut out the things that, not cut out, but you just pay attention to the things that don't align with you. Whether it's like you need to be brutal or not, it doesn't matter. And it's not bad. It's a good thing. And maybe you like really want to be brutal with that, but you don't want to work on yourself. And that's like that's how you feel like you're going to do it. The next stage is to see what you actually want. Like, what do you want the external reality rules to be like? Yeah. And when it's like something like, let's say you want peace for everybody and things like that, what then you do is then you go into how can you be that change? So if you want peace, how can you be that peace and have that peace for yourself? One. And how can you give every single interaction you have with another human being peace? And when you do these things and you pay attention to more peace things, and you have to know what peace means to you, it can't just be cheesy and random or vague. It has to be your type of peace, and you have to get really detailed. And you go through those three things, you're actually going to do something about it. But if you don't do that, like I see this a lot in the younger generation. I know like people get weird about generation, but younger people, they are very obsessed with when something happens, they go into a trend and people are mean to them about it and everything. But I feel like people have not told them about this because no one knows about this. And so they are doing the best they can, and there should be no shaming. But it's that basically that repetition of, I'm going to put this on my, little handle, I'm going to put the flags, I'm going to do this. And that, and then be in a club and be like, I'm cool and you're a bad person because you're not cool like me. That is not being the change. Because if these people want peace for someone in a country, or they want these people to feel free, that speaking to someone is not setting people free. You're not putting that out there. You're not being the change. So it's like, if you really want the change, but people don't know that that's a possibility. And so that's like next level stuff. But the first stage is to actually understand that and see, okay, well, what am I doing? How am I paying attention to certain causes? Are they actually aligned with what I can do and things like that, and then you be the change. So for example, me, I've done that process, and I know that the way I can be the change that I want to see is to help people, empower them so that they can put out their authentic energy. So our internal, external reality is a fair, amazing, magical playground that extends into the external reality, and it becomes so fun, and it changes all the time when we wake up. Like, that's what I want to be, the change for that. And so what I do is everything I do, if I am complaining about something, an order that didn't come in the mail, I'm going to talk to that person in that way as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to, it doesn't matter that I'm telling them that the product didn't come. I'm going to speak to them, and not all weird and preachy, but the style of my language is going to be like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, this is how I do it. I'm like, my package didn't arrive. I know that this is not your fault, and I know that it's the system of the company, but I would like to know if there's anyone around, if you can't do it, not because you can't do it, but because you don't have access. This is how I would talk to someone. Because I understand their position. I've been in many retail, like, customer service stuff, and it's very complicated to empower someone in that situation, but I make sure that I'm not just going, you can leave this job. Like, that's what someone would do when they think that. That's not what you do. You treat them with respect of their job, and you understand their situation in that format. And it takes a lot of work, because the easy way is to do that. You know, you can just be empowered and you can fuck this company. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what someone would do. But that's someone that doesn't understand that that's not being the change, because this person needs that job, and it's none of your business why they do. But you can make their life better so that you can get what you need, but you also don't need to make them feel weird in their job, like, in any way. Like,
Well,
right?
and you know what's interesting though about, like, the way that you're talking about that, right? Is that, like, if everybody treated everybody like that, there would be no shitty jobs. Like,
Yeah.
it would just be like,
That's what I'm saying.
you know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
jobs are shitty because of the environment or because of
agree.
the impact that it has on the world. But, like,
I agree.
let's say it was just the former, right? That, like, the environment. Well, if everybody just treated each other with respect, then it would be like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you work at a paper company or you're a barista or you're a
And
project
that's how it
manager.
should be.
That's how it should be.
And this is what people don't understand. And the reason why they don't understand it is because everyone thinks it has to be a cookie cutter of this.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by that. Like, so if I told someone this, they would take it literally. And like I said, they would be all weird and freak out that person in the job, which is disrespectful and doesn't align with what actually the message is.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to, like I was talking to Trent about this, you have to understand the three things. You have to understand that we have, we're holding a whole little world in our body, and we have to take care of this body. And then we have our bigger energy that we need to sort out what comes through and what doesn't, and pay attention to that. And then there's the systems that are stupid, crumbling, and also some of them are kind of cool that humans have put together. And we have to handle that every time we walk out in the world and interact with people, all three. And we can't ignore them. So when we ignore those, when we speak to someone, we're also doing a disservice to ourselves and that person. Because that person, like you said, they could be having a horrible time in their job, but if you gave them that moment to actually do the job in a way that they're doing their job, but, like, also they get to do it in a peaceful, normal way instead of being all weird and creepy. And they're like, okay, I'm doing a job because I need money, and I'm not doing a job because I have to be whipped and I have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're acknowledging the three things. This person needs to eat, and they might have a family, and you're acknowledging that there's a system that they're in, and you're also acknowledging your energy and your all those things as well. And so that is, like, what people need to keep in mind when they're doing this. But the important part that fuels this and helps you have common sense is when you actually learn what you want to convey, what you want to change out there.
Yeah.
Because people are already doing this, by the way. They're doing this in countries, and I haven't done, there's something that I want to do, and I don't know what format. It's probably going to be a voice note or something, but it has to do with why there's countries. touched on it a tiny bit in the podcast, like a lot kind of, but not like that much. And I want to do something specifically dedicated to it because there's some stuff that I want to do, and I'm going to be putting it on Patreon probably. But anyway, it has to do with this, where if you look at any country, doesn't matter which one it is, you can kind of see that every single problem or force that's happening, where they're forcing something, they're trying to keep something from happening. So for example, if it's a country that has to do with religion and people are starting to get creative, they don't want that, not because they're being evil and trying to do that. They understand that if lots of people get creative and feel free and comfortable, they're not going to like what the religion is. They're going to be like, let's grow this religion, let's change this religion, let's get rid of this religion. And that doesn't sound like, people be like, oh, they're controlling us. No, they want the religion thing. And then the people that are a part of it want that religion too, but they don't know that they probably don't, because they're taking up that space. And so, yes, there's a worldwide one, but there's also per country as well. And you can see that happening. So people know it unconsciously. They don't know it like what I'm saying, but they know it unconsciously. And this is why they take up space. And so it's like, if you think about it this way, I talk about the Coca-Cola, for example. You might like the cola drink, but you might not know it's the cola that you like. You might think it's only associated with Coca-Cola. That's not because you're stupid or you can't think of looking it up and what it's made of. It's because you're bombarded by that since you've been born, like a lot of us, all of us, because we haven't been born in the Victorian times. So we've been bombarded with these messages of what Coca-Cola is and what it looks like. And so you don't even get space in your mind to go, what is that made of? Let me look at the plants. Like, why is this like this? And then you see that other brands make it too. Like, you wouldn't even think of that. You would just think that's another brand of a drink. And you're like, no. And it's very rare to get that opportunity to be like, oh, this drink is this. You see another brand and you're like, oh, you put 2 and 2 together and then you look it up. But that's very rare that people get those opportunities, and they're special moments. But that's kind of what happens. Yeah. That's what taking up space means to me. It's like, and that's why I talk about American culture doing that, because what they've done, as the people who are involved in these things, especially advertisement in the 60s and those kind of things, it was cool and it did some things that are cool, and there's some art that came out of it and stuff like that, but it ended up being a part of the culture and got into it. And then people get annoyed with Americans, and I'm like, well, you're not annoyed with Americans, you're annoyed with that part of the culture that has been integrated into it. And it's not even a real culture, it's just a program integrated into the culture, masquerading as a culture thingy or whatever. And so it's like a type of colonialization, but an undercover, unknowing one. So I was talking about that in the last live, about the British TV or something like that, or shows or movies or whatever, and how it's Americanized. And it's because of this. It's the taking up space. So it's these little cues, and they were my energies were telling me about this when I was, they were first talking about the country things. And they were saying that the cues. So for example, the US, you think of hamburgers, Coca-Cola, Apple, and some of those things. And they become the symbols and cues to keep that going and that repetitive taking space up. Sure. And so if you walk, if you're I don't know, you're in India and you see a McDonald's, I think there is. Yeah, there is. I think there is. Yeah. Because I remember this guy, I watched these on the weekends. I watch these guys that are YouTubers and they go to different countries and they were showing the countries, how they are and stuff. And we love it. My partner and I were watching it. But yeah, I think I saw an Indian one where they did that. Even if they don't, they have a copy of it, but it doesn't matter. When you go past that, you don't think, oh, I'm going to go get a hamburger. You think, I'm going to get McDonald's. Right. So it's it's taken up space. But if you see a hamburger, you might even think of McDonald's, or vice versa. You think of an American person or whatever. And so these cues of things that we think are cliches or whatever. They're actually cues to take up space about something. And so they take up space in the culture. And my partner is from Iran, and when we talk about like their family members and stuff, like for example his mom, when we talk about like food with her, it sometimes like breaks her brain about combinations of stuff because it doesn't have to do with those cues in the culture. And it doesn't mean she wouldn't like it, but she might actually not like it because her brain goes, this is not what you're supposed to do with this fish. This is not what you're supposed to do with this meat. And it doesn't mean that she wouldn't like it. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean any of those things. It's just those things have taken up so much space in her brain. She didn't get a chance to think about it. And this is like her first time like finding it in that situation. And she's like, what?
Interesting.
How could you put these two together?
Right.
Or my favorite is my mom used to make, my mom is half Panamanian and half like Canadian and some other things and things like that. And so she would make plantain things. And so for me, it's very normal to have banana-ish vibe things with seasoning and spices and pepper and salt and stuff like that. And so for fun, I have bananas with salt and pepper on it, like sometimes. And I was having it at this airport, and this little British boy, it blew his mind.
Yeah.
He was giggling, he was cracking up, because for him, that the way that has been portrayed to him has taken up so much space. That was funny to him. It was like a wild experience. He's like, who is this crazy lady?
Yeah.
And I was just giggling. Like, I think he was like embarrassed a bit, but I was just like, this is so cute. But like that for him, it was just like his brain was breaking.
So like I could think of a million examples of things like that. There was like a on Reddit like a couple years ago, like British people and American people were getting into an argument about pumpkin, whether it could be savory or sweet. And like in the United States, like we only have pumpkin as sweet, but apparently in like the UK and other places, like pumpkin is more savory and whatnot. So I can think of like a million examples of that. But I think my larger question though is like, what is that indicative of? Because like I can think of like some people I know who are not like that like they grew up in a culture, but they are like so down to like try different things and like think outside of whatever culture or religion or whatever ethnic group, whatever that they grew up in. And like they are down to explore. And I've met other people that are like, no, this is my religion, this is my box, this is my culture, this is my country. I think we all know examples of that wherever we are in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out why that is. Like, what is it about some people that they're like, no, I don't want to explore that. But then other people are like, yeah, let's try it.
So that has to do with, it's always going to be case by case 100%. Like that is like always the main thing with this. But there are some examples I can give of what it could be. So so the first thing is to understand that the thing we were talking about is about popularity. So it's like I said, what do you call it? The internal external reality. So it's the shared realities of all the, the different shared realities that are like groups and stuff. So a country is kind of like that, but it's a bit more complex. They call it like little bubbles, kind of. There's like a lot of stuff going on. So you can think of it like a collective of a bunch of them. So it's like within, but within that category. So they still are the things that accumulate and overflow as many as people would vote into the external reality. So, for example, it can happen within a country or a group or a city or people or whatever, but it can also happen where, like I said, the colonization with American things, where let's say every country, it's not true, but let's say every country has McDonald's. That is an example of taking up space in all those different groups everywhere. So it's kind of like true colonialization kind of vibes, but with energy, because they're like a reminder. You're like, okay, America.
Right.
You stamp it. So there's this. So that is basically the rules that everyone agrees on in certain areas. Now, if someone says that the whole world is like that, and they either think that and everyone else wouldn't think it, there's two ways. Like, it could be that someone thinking that, like someone who's never traveled, or they just they live in a tiny village in an eastern country, and they really don't know. Like, that's a possibility. They think everyone's like that, and it's not because they're being weird or mean. They just really think that's how it is. And they will assume that it's all like that, but it's just because they're a product of that, whatever takes up space there in that country, right? Now, if it is actually a worldwide thing, like an American things, where Americans will say something like, "Oh, well, everyone wears like that," and they actually are right on accident, because it is everywhere, and it's because of that colonialization things. Oh, bye! It was nice that you came back. See you soon. So yeah, so basically that's what that is. But now we're gonna get into the food stuff. So if we're talking specifically, not just food, but just choosing certain things that humans have put in the, for us, that have created and brought that out, rearranged nature, that kind of stuff. Like, food is a good example. We'll talk about it. Everything we do when we like something, we are reading energy. And everything holds energy differently. It could be a patchwork quilt. It could be all these things. Some of them express, some of them don't, all that stuff, right? And that's how this simulation and actually everything works, not just the simulation. And so when we're doing this, again, remember the deep thing. So if someone is like, let's say you're in a little village somewhere and you don't know about the rest of the world for some reason, and you basically are you haven't gone deep because of your life circumstances. Just because you haven't doesn't mean you're not going to interact with others that have, and also your internal energies and friends might not be tickling you from the next layer. That all kinds of things could happen, right? And so these the ones that all of a sudden decide that they want to try something, or they always want to try stuff, it means that their energy style lets them have those tickles, lets them see things in a different way, and they have noticed that it's safe to explore that. Because I know both. I know people who just do that and they have no problem trying it, and I know ones that want to do that but they never do because they don't feel safe. And then I know the other ones that we're talking about that are ignorant, not because it's their fault, but because they're in a place where they don't have a choice. They don't even know, like, it's a possibility. So there's usually those three are the most, there's obviously so many different things that can happen, but those are the three biggest, most typical, popular ones you'll come across in your life. I know that I was like that as a kid since I was like born, but it's because I grew up in the Northern California, where it was like a normal thing to have, like, you got to have every food from every culture, and then it's they're very obsessed with making sure it's authentic to the place, so it's not like some random fusion, they're like real stuff. So not only did I get to be introduced to it, my family's very into different kinds of food things, and then on top of that, it's safe to do it because it's kind of cool in the family to do that. But I also have multi-focus because of my style of energy. So when I see people, when I was a kid, I would see all this stuff, but what I would tell people is I'd say, "You remind me of this," and it became a game, like everyone does it, like, stuff like that. And that was my safe way of expressing it. But when I saw food, it was the same way, always. And I didn't feel safe to tell people that. So I had all the tools in the toolbox and the opportunities to eat cool things and have fun. But at the same time, my want, need, and desire was able to be expressed in that way, but I couldn't tell them why I wanted it. Like, if I wanted, like, for example, let's say we're sitting at a Japanese place and I'm like 3 years old and I just grab a little octopus and eat it. That is not, like, I didn't get to tell, like, people why I did that, but I got to do it. Does that make sense? And it has nothing to do with the culture, has nothing to do with people judging or all that stuff. It goes out the window because I have two things pulling at me: safety and also not safety.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not safety. I had like not safety to express why, but safety to do it. Right? So that's what's going to be always someone's choice for these things. And it's also about the depth. A baby's deep no matter what. They're like literally hallucinating. So.
Love it.
So,
Okay.
I was going to say,
Go for it.
go to interject real quick. One of the big things I'm doing right now, and I'm terrified about it, because I don't know enough about this, but I'm going to go through it. And like talking with Source, trying to understand how I might be freed from this justice issue, because I found out there's a relative that left me quite a bit of money. I found out that my mother and other relatives have stolen my ID, bought new vehicles, done stuff like that, and they just hang out, let it unfold. They're going to be caught. They're going to speak to the wrong people. Trust me, they're already going on themselves.
Yeah.
It'll happen in divine time. I've been so anxious over it because I don't understand this well enough, and I'm trusting that's going to happen, and it fits with everything I've been shown, because my my neat little abilities to see what other people are doing got way stronger, way stronger, and it got to the point where I'm being fed what they're doing play by play, and it's matching up with what Source told me like a month ago. The timing has been the hardest part of it. Soon from Source could be a year. That one's been kicking me in.
It doesn't exist for the like in general, but especially for this. And when I hear soon, it's basically just it's not even an answer. And the reason why it's not an answer is because you didn't keep doing it, like you didn't keep pushing. And it's not that you have to; it's that for your satisfaction or peace of mind, it's your job to get your peace of mind. So they're going to give you the most, whatever they can give you, depending on what you push. So if you, like, for example, me, they will say that to me as well. And my answer always, like, Samuel is the only one that's, like, he is always cracking up. But I'm just like, excuse me, it's me. I need to know why. I need to know how it works. I need to know how that works. I need to know how this works. And that is my way of trusting. Like, I need something like that to trust. Because trust is important. But you need to find your style of trust. Does that make sense?
I tried that, and it ended up being a give and take. My body got better. Like, my body ended up getting better randomly. I've had a lot of physical afflictions from damage done to me throughout my life.
Yeah.
It got better. Like, I can walk again. That's pretty fantastic.
But that's from you asking a question, or what happened specifically?
That started off with me just sitting down, praying and meditating. Like, so much has gone wrong in my life. I have been basically a slave my entire life.
Yeah.
And I would, if I can, like to have redemption, like to be able to start over. I know for the men in my family, I am middle age. So can I have justice? I really would like to see justice. I'd like to see these people caught with what they're doing. I don't know how much money was in that inheritance, but it'd be enough for me to have a place to live.
Yeah, of course you can have justice. Justice is very important. But like I said, you can't just, it's not just justice like, I need justice. Because right now, the way that we even have justice systems as humans, our system is not true justice, right? And so the way you get true justice is going through everything. Like it's not a like justice. It's like the way you get true justice is to go, like I said, every single part of you that wants justice needs justice, if that makes sense.
I learned that the hard way, because at first I just said justice, wanted it with everything. And it ended up being just straight what I would call karmic justice. Everybody's lives started falling apart. They started getting angrier. And then I was like, okay, I want justice within the court. I want the individuals who are caught to be upheld by the American law. I want them to be caught, and I want what's stolen to be returned to me so that I may be able to afford to live.
Yeah.
And then weeks pass by, and randomly a video pops up on my phone. Was
Uh-oh, it's not working.
did to you to an undercover.
Wait, after you said the phone
Did that.
went away, your voice went away after you said the phone, when you saw a video on your phone.
Can you?
Uh-oh,
My bad. I went underneath the fluorescent light. It does not like this. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Is this any better?
Yeah.
Okay. Weeks pass by, and then on my phone, it just pops up a video that says, somebody who's been doing bad to you just bragged about it to an undercover, and they don't even realize it. And then it shut itself off. And I was like, I'm really hoping that's real. I am really grateful if that's real, if that's what's happening.
Yeah. That's basically,
And
that's
so-
like I said, when you remember the 3 things I talked about, that's you understanding, like, why are you getting that information? Who is that? Which version of you? Why? Was it an answer to something you asked? Was it an answer to the almost, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that for you to be able to get this justice for yourself, it needs to be not like sitting and being like, oh my God, I wonder how or what's going. It needs to be very, it needs to be healing and comfortable for you. Like, it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be something where you're wondering and waiting and wanting. That is not a healthy place.
They're asking,
if
the
that makes
source keeps asking me to stop looking into it, stop checking into it,
exactly
saying,
And
I've
that's
got it
what-
handled, leave it be.
That's what that is, but you don't have to look into it. You can go into the workings of it, if that makes sense. So you can be like, okay, when they talk to me about this, who was that? Can you show me why they did it this way, why this happened and this, and show me how it works? And then when you say this, what does this happen? So that's not you going into it as in like peeking and seeing how things are doing and things like that. It's you asking from your POV, how did that come to you? How did this go here? How does that go there? So that you can understand which parts you want to be a part of. Because whether you're doing something as a human or not, it is getting done energetically by you and by others all the time without you even saying anything. So that's why you need to know the whole picture, like I said, so that you can see where you are in that map. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yes, and
You're
I don't
just
know
sitting
if
there, you're thinking nothing's happening and you're like, what's going on? How are you going to feel justice and excited if you don't know what actually is happening without you even lifting a finger?
And I don't know if the twin flame thing is real. I ran into somebody, and like, I don't know. She's the one who showed me the apartment, but we just stopped and stared at each other for like a minute straight. It was not even awkward silence. We just kept staring at each other, and I was like, why do I know you? I don't know what it was. It could be like a soul family thing, and that's okay.
I'm gonna talk about okay, so there's the twin flame thing, and then there's also the actual thing that usually people are talking about. So twin flames is projects that 2 energies did having to do with specific things, and they are connected, and it's case by case. That's the one that's actually a twin flame thing. It has nothing to do with coming together, and people don't ever talk about it that way. So that's the actual thing, but it doesn't even make sense because no one talks about it that way. So the ones that people talk about, it's a tree. It's a family tree. And so it's these energies that may or may not be related to your energy. They could and they couldn't. What doesn't matter? There's a tree that, as humans now, where you are, you don't even have to see each other. You're connected. And if you change your mind as you're living your life, they will go away and be replaced with another one. And then they will find another one. So when people get really obsessed and do that twin flame thing and get really obsessed with someone, they're holding that person back from being a connection somehow in any way. It could be like completely you don't even know to whatever, right? And so like you kind of, that's another thing with our things that we're talking about where we're connected. It's that thing where you're shaking the tree. They're like, I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Oh,
And then they either answer the call or they leave to go to another tree because it doesn't make sense to them. They're not ready or they're annoyed. And so they leave so that other ones come. So
so it got
this
bad.
thing you're talking about is you recognizing energy and an energy, like energy as in like all kinds of stuff. It could be a bigger energy. It could be a parallel life energy. It could be all the things. And you're recognizing something extremely important that you work on together, because everyone thinks it's a past thing, but it's not. It's happening at the same time. So you're going to feel that connection of that storyline of those cool things that are happening in that person. And it's very sexy and romantic, and it can be even in a friendship too, but it can still be even sexy in a friendship.
It's gotten very weird. So, Source told me that this person is tied to you. You will know by the end of this.
Okay.
I'm not going to explain it. This will be a surprise. You've had too bad of a life. You need a surprise. I was like, I don't like surprises. Surprises usually mean I'm going to get hurt. And he's like, yep, that's when you're getting a surprise. What? And said it's going to be a good surprise. It's going to make up for the past half of your life of torture. I was like, okay, I'm terrified, but cool. All right. I'll try for a good surprise once in my life. Well, she happened to be married to one of the cult's families, a separate chapter. She asked, that was her parents.
Yeah.
And she made the wrong decision. And I didn't even ask about this, but my phone turned on one day and it said, they made the wrong decision. Karma is now coming to get them. And I was like, who is they? So I sat there and was like, who's they? Who is that being spoke about?
Yeah.
Well, behold, there her photo popped up. I was like, okay, I don't know. And then weeks and weeks go by and pops back up. And again, it says someone is getting out of their head and decided that they love you and they don't know why. And they can't get you off your mind or off their mind. They haven't been able to stop thinking about you yet. Around this time, I swear I'm hearing her voice in my head. I haven't spoken to her in a month. So I was like, wait, is she a telepath or am I going crazy? And it would be like wishful, thoughtful little things like, oh, I hope you're doing okay. Please don't forget about me. All sorts of little stuff. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's happening. That's getting unsettling. But when I tried to speak to her before about it, she freaked out. Like her eyes just kind of lit up with terror and then she took off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'll leave it be.
But yeah, like I said, those are so many things happening at once of different connections and stuff like that. And like I said, those things can only mean things if they actually mean something in what you're doing at that moment. So if it's helping you in that moment, that's when it's actually important. It's not, you know what I mean? Like obviously those always are cute interactions and special, but they only mean something if they actually mean something to you, if that makes sense. And it doesn't mean that they might not mean something at that moment, but maybe 6 years it will mean the right thing. So don't worry about that. Oh,
This is what scared me about it. Oh, sorry about that.
that's okay.
I was going to say, I got a weird premonition of two children playing in the floor at the foot of the bed, and I looked over, and it looked like a really old version of her, and that scared the crap out of me.
Well,
'Cause
that's
was
what
like,
I
I'm not
mean.
even thinking about her, but
So that's what I mean. You guys are connected, and it connected means so many different things, but it needs to be relevant to you right now and the both of you because it's involving both of you. So that's the thing is these things can be so cute and beautiful, but they have to make sense now for them to be important and relevant.
that's why I was lost. What was that? The hands?
He's saying bye.
Oh, my bad.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I'll have to go, but I will I'll be out live soon. I'll let you guys know. You guys let me know as well when you guys want to come live.
if you would
But
just shoot me a message. I
yeah.
only got so much Windex, okay? So just shoot me a message. For you as well, Camille.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it with this.
And
If
I
you
know
guys,
Camille, you have 5 questions, so
No.
are you guys free on tomorrow or Monday-ish? And I can let you know if I can make it.
tomorrow I can be for a little bit.
I think yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow I should be able to. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
I,
so I'll see how tomorrow goes and then I'll let you guys know.
Perfect.
Otherwise, you guys know that the sessions are available. There's only one slot when it's the weekend, like each day. So, but the rest of the week there's openings. And if you have struggle and you can't find on the calendar and it's weird, you can just let me know, because sometimes I have to, if I'm busy, I have to take off some days, even though like whatever. So just let me know if there's anything that you don't see on the thing, and I can help you with that.
And I want to let you all know before, just so you don't get scared. I only have 3 animals I identify with, 2 of which scare the shit out of people. So I am so sorry if that's happening to you. Okay.
I love it. So
grizzly bears, palomino horses, and owls. I pray that the owl is what finds you guys if I need you. Okay?
we could come in a little picture format. I don't mind seeing a little bear like image on something on TikTok. That's fine.
But where I'm at, they show up in real life. I'll talk to you guys later.
I don't think it's possible in London, so.
Hopefully not.
All right, bye.
Bye, everyone. I'll see you guys soon. Oh my god, it's not turning off.